on, everybody? What's up? I am a fruitcake, as you can see right here on my name, and this is my good. What?
Let's say if you could read it.
I just told you what it means. And this is my pal Soda, who always interrupts me. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, man. I'm doing fine. Mostly because I just found a website I can't wait to look at after we're done the show. It's a website of geek hockey jerseys.
Yay! Good for you.
Saving that to look at later.
So, if you couldn't already tell by my intro, the title, or hold on, sorry, or this thing right here, the writing, we're going to have a very specific topic today, and I'm sure a certain fan of ours has already checked out by this point, but you know what? We're going to do it anyways, and you know what? It's probably going to be the longest and might actually end up being our best episode yet. It's too early to tell, but I mean, one thing is for sure, it's going to be long because we are going to talk about, in my opinion, the single greatest Israeli video game of all time, Piposh. Yep.
Did you mention before that it was a video game? For some reason, I thought it was a show.
No, I said it last week. I said we're talking about a video game. That's why.
Sorry,
hence the topic is so long.
No, sorry. I thought you said we were talking about a TV show. My apologies. I misheard you.
It's okay, but yeah. So, Piposh is a video game that came out in the year of 1999, where little old me was so innocently buying this seemingly completely random and innocent video game for a friend, and after seeing what it is, I had to have it, and well, it kind of fucked up my life ever since. But you know what? I still love it for the nostalgia. Now, here's the thing. It is, first of all, some background stuff on it. It is a point-and-click adventure with optional dialogue, as the same thing as a lot of video games do. Where they give you these three options, but the main theme of it is it's basically, think of it as a Agatha Christie murder mystery mixed with Deadpool. And I'm talking violence, I'm talking profanity, I'm talking fourth wall breaks. The fourth wall basically does not exist. It's a suggestion. It's like, imagine a Mel Brooks movie where they know it's being shot while you're watching the movie, and you get interludes of seeing the director at work. Stuff like that.
So there's a TV show that's like that I love to death from Ireland called Mrs. Brown Boys, where they literally keep all the mistakes in and always acknowledge that. But is this console, PC? Like,
it's PC.
Okay, because listening to you talk about it, you know what it reminds me of, and for hopefully you've heard of this game, Conker's Bad Fur Day. The type of maturity level.
It's that sounds familiar. What is it from?
So Conker's Bad Fur Day, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, for those watching, it came out for the N64. It's basically an adventure game with levels and stuff like that, but it is incredibly raunchy to the point where, no joke, you shook a flower with boobs.
Oh yes, I know it. Yes, now it all clicks in. But where I'm going with this, it's more. Have you ever played any of the old Pink Panther games?
No.
The PC games where literally point and click with your mouse.
I've done Magic School Bus games like that, but I've never done a Pink Panther game. At least not that I can recall.
So yeah, it's basically just like you point and click at things that you think are relevant, and they help you with the plot.
I played games like that for sure.
Now the game itself has a pretty distinguished voice cast of people. Some people you might remember here and there. But probably the most notable voice actor is, of course, Dudu Zar, famous for his involvement in the Nice Butterfly TV show for young children. And I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe this was one, if not the first, and one of the most earliest roles for Anat Magen Shabo, who is right now, who has since like took off like a rocket. She was pretty big actress in Israel, but that's it for the voice cast. There's some other notable people like Ilan Peled. This also features cameos from famous celebrities, namely Meni Pe'er, Shaya Vivi, and Irita Navi. But for the most part, these are the two major names that people would pick up from this game. Now, this game, obviously, as the name suggests, follows the main character of Chezi Piposh. And I'm going to tell you straight up, some of these names might be a little hard for you to pronounce, so you might as
We
well.
are.
Yeah, would you want us to give them nicknames from time to time? Just see
Would help.
what?
Would help.
Yeah, so let's just call him Piposh. Because, Chezi, I don't think it's pretty simple.
Were these games ever ported over here? You know?
No, I mean, they're incredibly Israeli. They were developed by two children, by the way. Or rather, they were children at the time. They were, I think, teenage game developers, Roy and Ranan Glozman, or Gluzman. I never understood the proper pronunciation. So yeah, the Gluzman brothers have produced several several video games, at the time. Most notably, a game that sort of acts as a spiritual prequel to this one, or rather, this one being the spiritual sequel. Inside the Rating. This was, I believe, the first game in their company. Their company is literally called Guillotine. Their logo is a little tiny bird with a captain's hat staring at a guillotine. That's basically the logo there. Now, in the video game Inside the Rating, you're playing mainly as the main character Elimelech Egoz, which looks like this. Now, since Piposh came out after this game, the idea is that Chezi Piposh himself is the actor that played Elimelech Egoz in the previous game. So there's some loose connectivity between the two games.
So bring that up again?
This one?
Yeah. So that looks like if Pablo Picasso designed Philip J. Fry.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, they didn't really go too much with the animation, and sad to say, the animation didn't really get that much better, even in the more recent game, which came out, I believe, in 2019.
It did, and I'm just going to say I did, because I wanted to see if they ported it over. I did see that they made a new game.
Yeah, in 2019, I believe. Still haven't got a chance to play it, but from what I've seen, it kind of looks bonkers, just like the first couple of games.
From what from what I saw when I clicked on it, it sounds like if you've played those Telltale games, it sounds like it's in that vein.
Yeah, pretty much. Except the main difference here is that it really doesn't matter what optional dialogue you choose, because sometimes the game just has the one dialogue that works, and you can just keep pressing the same one over and over again until you give up and press the one that the game wants you to press.
Nice.
That's what I said. The fourth wall is basically not there. At some points, even Piposh himself, the main character, tells you, "Idiot, stop pressing this option. Start pressing the other option." So yeah, that's basically the game itself. Now, as I mentioned, Piposh himself is an actor who, of course, played Elimelech Egoz in the previous game. And the thing about Piposh is he's basically a piece of trash actor, like a deadbeat, washed out, no good actor. At one point, I mean, he plays appliances on stage plays. That bad. He plays appliances and fruits and vegetables and plays. And at some point in the game, there's a joke made at his expense saying that the number of productions he's been in far outweighs the number of lines he had to say. So that tells you all you need to know about this actor. Now, at the sort of prologue to the game, he essentially read 1 or 5 too many bad reviews on him in the newspaper and really lost it, and decided to take his anger on the press. As you can see, you can kind of tell his personality just from this clip, right? He goes in there and just wrecks shit and starts knocking on tables and whatnot, and destroys all the accolades, however few of them he had. He was really not happy, and he figured that the only way to get over his anger is to just get away from everything, and have a complete change up in his career and go on holiday. He decides to go on a cruise to Hollywood, of all places, which, by the way, is geographically impossible if you've ever seen a map.
To take a cruise to? Yes.
Not just that. I mean, look at where Israel is and where Hollywood is. Like, you'd have to go all across the Mediterranean and the Atlantic and then go completely around Canada just to reach Hollywood, which is on the other side of America.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, look at a map. No way you look at it, it does not make sense at all.
That is what I'm trying to do right now. Apparently, he's not giving it to me properly, but still, that's quite the distance.
Yeah, and it's not just the distance. It's like it's physically impossible. You'd have to cross either America from the north or from the south just to get to Hollywood, which is like,
you'd have to take
impossible.
all the way around no matter what.
Yeah, it's like trying to go from New York to China.
Yeah.
So, anyways, after buying a ticket, or rather packing everything he needed, he went straight to the to Haifa port. Sorry, Haifa is like the known as the main port city in the northern side of Israel, and through a classical, goofy, stupid mistake that could only ever exist in a video game, as you can see right here, he accidentally got on the wrong ship.
Naturally.
Yeah, he's like, cruise to Hollywood this way, and that's the way he's going. And so accidentally he arrives on the wrong ship. You can clearly tell by the size, and he lands on Krupnik's ship, right, as you see right here. And as soon as he saw this incredibly annoying long list of people ready to board the ship, he got on the ship in the most Israeli way possible.
Guilt?
Nope. By cutting everyone off. Or in other words, pure chutzpah. And he meets Captain Krupnik. This guy is by far the most eccentric, crazy, wild character in the entire game, and my personal favorite character in the game.
And that's who you want as the captain, an eccentric.
Yeah, and I promise you, it only gets worse and worse as the game develops, and you'll probably see why he's so crazy and why he's seriously my favorite. But after trying to make sense of whatever nonsense comes out of his mouth, he basically demands the key to his room, to which Captain Krupnik responds by saying he was not aware that they even had any rooms on this ship. But you know what? Hey, look, here's the key. Go on, take it off my hands and see what it opens for me, will you? And after giving Piposh the key, he was like, "Okay, so we've landed. Let's pull up the anchor and lower the sails." And that's basically how the adventure itself begins. Now, there are a lot of things that you can do on the ship. Again, it's a full-on video game. You can go explore certain rooms, which apparently do exist on the ship. There's all kinds of mini games. There's collectibles that can be found behind every nook and cranny. Like I said, it's a point-and-click video game. Anything you see in any given space, you click on it, and it moves or does some sort of action. And you could find like collectibles. Like there's literally an in-game, two, as a matter of fact, two in-game albums with stickers that you can put that you can find and stick in the albums. You want to say something?
I was gonna say, yeah, I remember, because I'm like almost a decade older than you. Those type of games at that point in time were all the rage for PC. All the rage. You couldn't go into a classroom and not find at least 10 games that are of that same style, where point and click and you explore. And
you'd be surprised, but I actually do remember a time like that, like the one you're describing.
Magic, like I said, the Magic School Bus games. There was Trivia Math Storm, Number Munchers.
Yeah, and Oregon one of them. What?
Oregon Trail, which is the classic one.
And of course, the Pink Panther games, which I mentioned.
Yes.
And have you ever heard of the Freddy the Fish games?
No.
Well, that's something I would recommend. Obviously, it's not for our age, but
That's
So they're really fun and charming games.
because
What?
it might have just missed me.
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things that you can find on this game are these binoculars, and if you pick them up, you basically get treated to these two idiots.
Yeah.
They're just telling some sometimes funny jokes, sometimes, but there's even a laugh track at the end. So they're basically they're a continuation of. Do you have Bazooka Joe? Where
Oh
you're
yeah.
from?
I know what Bazooka Joe is.
With the jokes and everything.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was basically one of the main features of the previous game that I mentioned. And so in this game, they brought it with actual proper characters with dialogue in this game. And it's like a staple of these types of games.
Okay.
In this series. So yeah, after realizing that you really don't have the key to your own room, the room that you'll be staying for the rest of the cruise, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go and hash it out with the captain. You give him back the key, and after trying to figure out where it fits, you find out that he actually gave you the ignition key to the ship.
Oh.
And so after you angrily demand you get your proper key back, he tries to give you the same key again. And when you yell at him that it's the engine key, and he's like, okay, I'm still not sure that there are any rooms here, but here's another key. Go and see what that does. And then, of course, you realize that it was the key was actually made of seaweed. So you circle back to the captain's room, and where you find him staring at a grandfather clock, saying that he's concerned that it's broken down because there might be some kind of vulture that have taken up residence inside the clock. He's always going cuckoo, cuckoo, and leaves.
He is cuckoo.
Yeah, I did say he's a crazy character, and you're gonna what?
He said, "You don't say."
and if you're not on board with this character right away, you probably never will be.
Fair.
But yeah, after all of that, Piposh eventually decides to get a little physical with the captain, demanding his key to his room, until the captain, once again, refusing to admit that there are any rooms on this ship, is like, you know what? I've had it with you. Here, take this key. It opens every single room on this ship. Go find yourself an empty room and leave me alone.
Nice. Gives him a skeleton key.
Yeah, basically gives him the skeleton key to every single room in the ship. And then, of course, the vulture makes an appearance. Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo.
The vulture.
And yeah, Piposh basically gives up at this point.
Yeah. I was gonna say that wasn't a vulture. That looked like a bird.
I know it's a cuckoo clock. That was the joke. He thinks it's a vulture.
Gotcha. Now I get it.
Okay, so after you finally get your key, you finally can approach and go to your proper room. And as you enter it, you find a French maid. Literally a French maid cleaning up your room.
Ooh la la. Right down to the...
Ooh la la. Her name is Brigitte. And after failing to impress her with his not so impressive French skills or acting skills,
or moves.
What?
Or moves.
Yeah. And she decides to leave off and leave him in his room alone to clean it up on his own.
All right.
And later in the game, as you try to leave, you're treated with, hold on, where is it? With this character right here, Tsutik.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Tsutik is a massive super fan of Piposh from the previous game. He loves everything he does. He keeps quoting lines directly from the previous game. Like, he's obsessed.
Oh, so the previous game exists in this universe?
He's an actor who played the previous character in the game.
That's fucking wild.
like I said, Fourth Wall Break, like the whole concept of he played this guy in the game. The game is a real physical game in that universe.
Okay. Wow.
And Piposh exists in that game, which also they are aware is also another game. It's like several different layers of fourth wall breaking. And as I mentioned, Tsutik is a huge, major fan of the first game. You can kind of tell even his hair is almost identical to the one used by Elimelech Egos in the previous game.
Jeez.
So yeah, he worships at the altar of Chezi Piposh, and Chezi Piposh, being who he is, doesn't want him anywhere near him. So he tries to kick him out several times
Naturally.
throughout this sequence. But yeah, after that, after you get rid of the riffraff, that is Tsutik, do you want to keep calling him Tsutik? Because I have come up with an alternative nickname for him.
All right, what's the nickname?
Tiny.
Okay.
That's basically what Tsutik means in Hebrew.
Okay.
So we're going to call him Tiny from now on?
Might as well.
Cool.
It's
And so
easy
after
to
you
pronounce.
yeah, it's easily pronounceable. So after you get rid of the riffraff, you start exploring the rest of the rooms on the ship, because you got the key to every single room. Might as well use it, and you get to interact with all the other guests staying with you on the ship. Particularly, you meet Dr. Marjorie Loudvoice and his nephew Yeshurun.
Wow, they have a name that's on the nose.
Yeah, I mean, I translated it. That's why it's so on the nose.
No kidding.
But yeah, so should we just call him the Doctor from now on because it's easier?
No, we'll call him Loudmouth.
Okay, let's call him Loudmouth.
Because I don't know, I don't feel right calling him the Doctor.
Okay, fine. Back when I was growing up, me and my friends kept calling him the Uncle, because he's the uncle to Yeshurun. Which, by the way, should we also find a suitable nickname for Yeshurun?
Because he looks like a leprechaun, we should call him Bialystok. No.
Or how about this? We can just call him Poindexter, because he's a nerd. Nerd.
Yeah.
Now I wish I had that clip.
Talking about Tiny, I was contemplating trying to find that GIF to play it.
Oh.
Well, because you said Tiny is obsessed with Piposh.
With Piposh, yeah. Yeah, so right from the get-go, you kind of notice that Loudmouth here is a doctor that specializes in robotics more than anything else. That's going to come into play later. And speaking of doctors, you also encounter a psychiatrist named Fritz von Bzz, a German psychiatrist obsessed with ripping people's kishkes. He always runs around with what?
I was going to say, he looks like he needs to be in the nut house.
Yeah, you're never quite sure if he's the psychiatrist or the psycho.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's always obsessed with taking out people's kishkes. He's always running around with a huge knife, yelling, "Kishke, kishke! I'll take out your kishke! Give me your kishke!"
Which I'm assuming is kidneys?
It's guts.
Close.
It's guts in Yiddish.
Ah.
And it's also served as a dish. I'm told it's pretty good by some people.
For it.
What?
I'll take your word for it.
He's also very much obsessed with the concept of electric shock therapy.
Naturally.
Which he does do on several occasions all throughout the game. And at one point, he shocks Piposh's brain too much that Piposh literally just can't handle it anymore. He gets up, walks off set, and he's forced to get medical treatment. Like they take him away in an ambulance, and the game director calls in a stunt double to finish the scene with the psychiatrist.
Oh, that's genius.
Yeah. I keep telling you, it's like, imagine that there is no fourth wall. The game director shows up multiple times during a day. Like, this is just how the game is run, and it's glorious.
I like it.
Okay, now, so the next character, her name, I'm not kidding you, is literally a swear word, and a swear word specifically pointed towards women.
Oh.
And her name is Bustema. So, should we find a different name for her?
Is the translation what I think it is?
I mean, what do you think it is?
Rhymes. It says another word for a cat.
No.
Okay. Type it in the private chat. I am curious to see what it means.
I don't even know what it means myself. But I mean, it's basically just a nasty word for a woman.
Okay, then.
Should we continue just calling her Bustema since you don't know what it means?
Sure.
Okay, so
it sounds like an actual name.
Okay, cool. So Bustema is a psychic. She's a medium. She's a fortune teller. She's a palm reader. She's basically anything you can
Oh,
think of. You can literally, in the first day at least, you can walk up to her and she palm reads you. She brings up people back from the dead. She tells you your future for a price, of course. And this is the interesting part. It's like you have four optional dialogues where
mhm.
when you meet her in the first day, three of them are paid services like seance, palm reading, and whatever. And the fourth one, literally, there is no other way to leave her room other than just yell at her for having such for saying that her prices are sky high and she's not even worth a spit. But because of course Piposh is such a kind and generous person, he obliges by spitting at her face and walking off.
Yeah, how's that kind? What the
Yeah,
hell?
that was how you leave her room. The other residents of the ship are a couple named Mr. and Mrs. Bentley, and as you walk past their rooms for the first time, you almost get hit by a flying vase, and you
Nice.
find them the two in a midst of a huge heated argument where they keep throwing stuff at each other, and Peepush was just in the line of fire, in the crossfire. And these two are the eccentric rich folk of the video game. You know, they're incredibly rich, and shall we say they, even though they've been married for who knows how many years, they hate each other. And the argument that they had here is because Mr. Bentley ran over Mrs. Bentley's cousin with a rather, no, sorry. He tried to run her over with a tractor that morning, but earlier, before that, he burned her cousin or uncle. Sorry, he burned her uncle alive.
Well, that
Yeah,
escalated quickly.
that and it continues to escalate with these two. They're murderous. They kill each other's family members and they try to kill each other off several times throughout the game. But for the most part, you kind of get the feeling that they do jobs together. And when I say jobs, of course, I mean robberies and
Yeah.
break-ins and stuff like that. There's a reason why they're so rich. And even again, the only way you can leave this conversation is by having Mrs. Bentley literally throw a vase at you and Mr. Bentley.
Jesus.
Of course, you also get to meet Tiny's room, and of course, he's once again awed and applauded by the mere fact that you stepped in his room. He lets you do everything you want in his room. There's even a point where you literally steal money straight from his wallet.
Ooh.
And there's in-game currency in the video game. That actually counts. If you steal money from him, that actually counts. Adds up to your total money account.
Hmm.
But the one thing that he that is sort of a crossing the line for him is that he has this cupboard in his room that he refuses to let you open it. He doesn't want you to open it and see whatever is inside. Put a pin in that for now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The other person you get to meet, you go down all the way down to the engine room where you encounter Mr. Henry Steam, the mechanic. Again, another name that's very on the nose, Henry Steam.
Yeah.
And this guy is incredibly full of himself. He refers to himself in the third person in any conversation. He always tells people what they should be saying or what they should be asking. And he fancies himself a professional impressionist. He does impressions of certain characters. Another thing that you find in the ship itself is a prisoner sitting at a prison cell at the belly of the ship. And of course, as soon as Piposh encounters him, he starts yelling at him and badgering him for being a criminal. But if you just let the guy get a word in edgewise, you would know that he's not actually a criminal, but rather a lunatic. And he's locked in there because he's a danger to society, and he's a patient of the psychiatrist.
Oh boy.
He brought him with him to hopefully try and treat him while on the cruise.
This is quite the cruise.
Yeah,
It literally sounds like a traveling psychiatric ward.
And we haven't even gotten to the murders yet because, like I said, it's a murder mystery, Agatha Christie murder mystery.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, if you explore the stock room of the ship, you find a mysterious eye poking from behind some of the crates and barrels, and upon clicking on it, they talk back to you, revealing to you that there's potentially 3 people hiding behind it. You continue to click on it and have conversations with the people behind it. They continue to refuse being there until eventually you click on it so many times that the game director shows up himself to tell you to stop clicking it and check the script, which people eventually does and sees that, oh yeah, they're not coming out until day 3 of the game. Okay, so sorry, never mind.
You know what scene that reminds me of from Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Oh yeah,
That's not right. That's not in the script. Yes.
I get another shot. So it's like, yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get confirmation that they're not coming out until day 3, and if you continue to click there as the player a couple more times, he gets mad at you, yells at you, and just walks off on his own without you having to tell him where to go. So that's basically all the interactions you get to introduce in day 1, and oh yeah, that's just day 1.
Out of how many?
What?
Out of how many days?
5. So let's try to get through all of these as fast as possible.
If we keep this pace, we could do it in about 2.5 hours.
That's what I'm hoping. I was hoping for 2 to 2.5 hours. So around 5 o'clock, and there's also an in-game clock that you can set the speed of the clock. You can do regular speed, extremely fast speed, or extremely low speed. So around 5 o'clock in the in-game clock, you hear a massive alarm going off, and you go down to the vault room and you find Mr. and Mrs. Bentley trying to break open the safe. Unsuccessfully, as you can imagine, and since you already walked in, Piposh has no other alternative but to eavesdrop onto their conversation. Unfortunately, at some point, he trips and falls and reveals himself the fact that he's been listening to their conversation the whole time. So, I mean, what are you going to do at that point?
This is very much Ed, and Eddie animation.
Yeah.
In that vein. Yeah, interesting.
The main difference is that the Ed and Eddie animation, for some reason, is always in motion. Like, it's always shaking for some reason. This is mostly static. But after picking 2 dialogue options that basically got you nowhere, people tells you no, that's not what I wanted to say. There's a dialogue option right there that you can choose, which furthers you in the conversation. And basically, if you choose that option, he's like, why bother? Here, I got a key that opens every single room, which he does, and it triggers the alarm, which summons, of course, Captain Krupnik into the room, followed by Brigitte and Loudmouth and Yeshurun. You have a sort of a minor scene in there, during which time it's revealed, or rather, Brigitte accidentally reveals that she knows the exact model and type of alarm and lock mechanism on the safe. Strange that the housekeeper would know such information, but of course, then Captain Krupnik tries to deflect the conversation away, and it's like, okay, fine, just don't forget to lock up the safe as you leave, and everyone just leaving Piposh and the Bentleys to tidy up after them, and Piposh just shuts the door in their faces and walks off. Which brings us to the first evening in the game, where you walk in and everybody's hanging out in the parlor, and Captain Krupnik, for some reason, thinks it's his birthday because everyone was standing there, and because it's gotta be a surprise birthday for him, right? That's the only reason he would have to be there. He tries to introduce all the people, or rather the staff members, to the rest of the people. There are only 2 staff members, and he keeps dragging the conversation, repeating itself over and over and over again, until Dr. Loudmouth here gets angered and annoyed by the fact that the conversation keeps repeating itself. So he starts telling everyone a story about a feather ball and a cat named Schmeatz. And he keeps reiterating the same point over and over again, talking in concentric circles, as Yeshurun said. And Yeshurun himself, or rather Poindexter, I should say, points out that he keeps repeating the same point over and over and over again, confusing all the people and driving people crazy, to the point where people start to fall asleep. And even Henry Steam runs away screaming, stop it, I can't handle it anymore.
My God.
They continue the conversation.
I don't know how long I'd last in that cruise. I'd probably throw everyone overboard at some point.
Yeah. And it kind of happens a bunch of times. But after a couple of minutes of just listening to these 2 ramble on and on, you once again hear the alarm, and everyone just runs down to the safe and find out that it's been broken into. and someone stole the diamond from inside. Now, you try to guess who could it possibly be. Now, who could it possibly have been? Since they were all upstairs,
Hmm.
except the one person who left screaming and moaning.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what about Tiny? I don't trust that guy.
I mean, he was right there with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably was that person that left.
That's what they all say.
Hmm.
And Piposh at this point was like, guys, come on. Let's not worry about it. Let's all go to sleep, and you'll see that tomorrow morning everything will be fine. To which Dr. Loudmouth agrees and commands Yeshurun to give him a list of all the resources that went to waste. And Yeshurun once again continues to give a pretty comprehensive list of all the things that they've done wrong all that night, driving everyone crazy till they all also run around screaming out of the room, going to their rooms and going to sleep, leaving Krupnik to stand there and celebrate his birthday alone.
That's always fun.
Yeah. Later that night, this happens. I don't know why I thought I had sound on that one.
Nope.
Apparently I didn't. Okay, too late to fix that now. So there's a big explosion there. There's like a big mechanical explosion, which brings the ship to a full stop. Piposh runs out of his room and goes to the engine. What?
Iceberg.
No icebergs in this region of the world.
Touche.
So yeah, he quickly runs out of his room and goes all the way back to the engine room, where he finds Henry Steam's hat, and then Brigitte and Yeshurun and Loudmouth walk in. Everyone else walk in, and they all start to notice the hat and start to wonder what could have possibly happened.
Mm-hmm.
After a few pointless conversations trying to work out what happened, Piposh completely bypasses all the optional dialogues and just suggests that they all go to the back of the ship in search for Henry Steam on the wheel of the ship, which they all eventually. Or no, sorry. But before that, jumped the gun a little bit. At this point, Dr. Loudmouth lets everyone know that it's not right for Yeshurun to be up this late at night, because he needs his sleep. Which if he doesn't get his sleep, this could cause him to go very, very unstable and start mumbling nonsenses, and could potentially ruin his future as a potential scientist. And that's when people says that they should stop worrying and go back to the back of the ship and see what happens at the wheel, which they all eventually do, leaving the engine room in a single file to find Henry Steam murdered on the wheel of the ship.
Dun dun dun.
Dun! Now, at this point, they all start to wonder what could possibly have been the cause, who could have done it, and Henry Steam himself reassures them, saying that that's not what they should be asking, but rather that what they should be wondering is who did it and why. At this point, they sort of start to get nervous at the idea that he's still alive, to which Piposh responds, "But no, you idiots, he's dead. It's just there are some people who can still talk after death." And when Dr. Loudmouth asks him how he came by that information, his response can simply be described as, "Shut up, don't argue with me."
There.
Yeah. So then Henry Steam started to tell him the story about how he was murdered, that someone walked up behind him and struck him on the head with a lead piping.
Okay.
How very original.
Again, because I just want to take a wild stab in the dark to see if I can guess who the killer is. Bring up that one so I want to see everything. I'm gonna go with the say no. One more time. I'm gonna go with the leprechaun.
Are we calling him the leprechaun from now on?
Because I couldn't remember his name in the moment.
Yeshurun.
Yeah, sure.
Or
I'm gonna go with him. For some reason, he's the one that sticks out to me.
And you know that his uncle did say that being up all night kind of makes him crazy and unstable, right?
Mm-hmm. So he's my pick.
Cool. It's nice. It's nice to always have a pick this early in the plot.
And it makes it a little bit more fun too.
So you can change your option, your choice as the plot goes on.
Yeah.
That's what I usually. I mean, when I usually do in these situations is I suspect everyone at the same time and manage my suspicions depending on more recent information as it comes out.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert: at several different points in the game, certain characters fully admit to being the killer, which makes it even harder for you.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, at this point, Bridget starts to make fun of Piposh, which Piposh really doesn't like. So he slaps her, sending Ishiroon to an even crazier fit.
Wait, play that again. It looked like the Tiny kicked him in the nuts afterwards.
That's not Tiny, that's Ishiroon. And I mean, that's more or less where the nuts would be in an animated character like that.
Yeah, like
Jesus. So yeah, after all this nonsense and shenanigans, Tiny suddenly suggests that maybe they should just let Piposh investigate the mystery, since he's already played a detective slash policeman in the previous game as Elimelech goes. And of course, he's a major fan, and he would love to see the expert at work. And of course, as you can imagine, Piposh doesn't like that. Yeah, he bows down to him, and Piposh really doesn't like that idea. But too late, Krupnik decides that he should be appointed as the main investigator before jumping overboard into the water for seemingly no good reason at all. Yeah, so that's basically where that whole sequence comes into a conclusion. However, that is not the end of the night, because later that night, the Bentleys tie Piposh up and literally drag him out of bed, take him across the entire ship, just to settle a bet between the two. See, Mrs. Bentley thinks that he has the diamond, and Mr. Bentley disagrees. So they just dangle him up above the ship, hoping that he'll give them a proper answer for it, something that will satisfy both, which of course is impossible. So they just throw him down anyways. And that is the end of the first day, or first night, I should say.
Oh, okay.
Now we're on to day 2, which starts by having someone wake Piposh up from his sleep. And that someone is, of course, Tiny.
Naturally.
Who is incredibly excited to join. Yeah, Piposh doesn't like that idea, but he's very much excited to start the day with Piposh. And Piposh, as you can imagine, responds in a pretty natural way to being awoken at early in the morning on a holiday. Yeah,
Does the Cabbage Patch?
No, it's
that's the name of the dance, the Cabbage Patch.
Oh, I don't know if they thought about that when they animated this sequence, but this is, you would say it's a pretty natural response to being woken up on a holiday, right? You would do something like that if someone burst into your room.
No, I'd more likely throw a big book at him.
Well, I mean, he didn't really have a book, so he just threw his pillow at him, as you can see here in this.
I've done that too, and my dad. Wow, the bastard knows. Okay, my alarm's for 8 o'clock. He wakes me up at 5:02.
Get out of my room!
Go away! I was in my mid-20s. I was in my late 20s. I did that.
Did you ever see Adventure Time?
No, a lot of my friends have and have told me to watch it. I have not.
It's amazing. So, anyways, there's a moment there where the main character Finn tries to sleep, and then he wakes up hearing wah wee wah wee wah wee, and he looks up and he just sees a worm, and it doesn't really make the noise with its body. It's just literally mouthing wah wee wah wee. So he just throws a book at it and it's like, no worms on the bed.
Jesus.
That's a really funny moment. So, anyways, Tiny seems to be very excited to join Piposh in his adventure. He wants to learn from the master. He wants to follow him and see if he can help him solve the mystery. Piposh, of course, disagrees, but then changes his mind after some not so much needed convincing by the captain himself. So
The
So,
eternal,
what?
the eternal drunk.
Yeah, the eternal drunk. He's like, okay, fine, I'll go with you. Just don't leave you here with this fruitcake. Hence my name. Okay, that's a phrase that Captain Krupnik yells out multiple times throughout the game. Now, thankfully for us, there really isn't that much happening in day two, aside from the Dr. Loudmouth and Yeshurun testing out a new robot that's supposed to save people from drowning. And of course, the only way they can test it is by having Yeshurun literally jump overboard and just marinate in the water for the entire conversation until his uncle eventually decides to cave in and bring him back up using the robot that he designed specifically to do so after leaving him in the water for a couple of minutes. So yeah, he pulls him back up and places him gently on the ship itself, which is where Piposh and Tiny leave. And they walk away into Loudmouth and Yeshurun's room, thinking they will be completely empty so they can investigate it uninterrupted. But then they find Brigitte stealing things from the uncle's room.
The
like this little car right here. So apparently, after a conversation with her, they learned that whenever she finds anything that seems valuable, she picks it up and steals it because she likes it. Like this other robot that she finds in the room, which of course Loudmouth comes in and yells at her for it.
She's a kleptomaniac.
Yeah, she's a French kleptomaniac. I think I might have ruined that. But anyways, during the conversation, you also get to learn that many of the stuff that she already stole she swiped from Tiny's room, like his little wristwatch, which he tries to get back. And then she reveals that she also stole his hot water thermos, his Swiss Army knife, and a little traffic cone from his room that she picked up.
A traffic?
Yeah, traffic cone, the kind often used by construction workers on road work.
Okay, teach their own, I guess.
I mean, everyone's gotta have a hobby. Anyways, so next you walk up to the psychiatrist's room, which shocks Tiny to the bone. You can see the effect with the lightning there.
What the hell happened?
And he shocks his head so badly that basically just gets up and starts wondering if he actually is a real certified proper psychiatrist in the first place, which he cannot produce any certificate. He cannot produce any credentials. There is no proper proof that he's a real psychiatrist.
Great.
Shocking, I know. Anyways, you can also have a conversation with Henry Steam in which he really does start to take the mickey out of Piposh, doing an impression of him, calling himself a piece of shit.
Ooh.
To which Piposh gets really mad. And where is it?
I just love how he's supposed to be dead at this point.
Yeah, he's very dead. So Piposh just starts to beat the shit out of his corpse.
I'll kill you. You're dead.
I'll kill you, you motherfucker! And the Bender's like, why are you wasting your time? He's already dead. Come on.
That's funny.
Yeah, and that's when him and Tiny decide to leave. So yeah, you can have conversations with the dead people, and apparently you can still beat people up from beyond the grave. Along the way, you also get back to Tiny's room, where you finally get a chance to open the cupboard, where you find like 4 or 5 sets of the identical same types of clothing that he's wearing, along with, as you can see here, another traffic cone that lights up, the kind that construction workers use. So you also find the Bentleys in the midst of another heated argument with one another, trying to frame each other for stealing the diamond. And as you can see in this fight between the two of them, the only one who actually does seem to get properly hurt is, of course, Piposh himself. Smack.
Poor guy.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of an asshole, so he basically deserves it. So, yeah. The Bentleys just cannot seem to get along with each other. It's a miracle they're even married in the first place.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
Yeah, so during all throughout the second day, you keep questioning people where they were when they heard about the murder or what happened, and the thing that seems to be keep repeating itself over and over again is that everyone seemed to recall running to the engine room to find Piposh standing there alone, saying that he was the first one on the scene. So they all start to suspect him, and he's the one who's supposedly investigating the mystery. Anyways, later that night, the psychiatrist treats everyone to a piano song that he wrote, specifically about ripping out people's kishkes over and over, because that's his whole thing. He steals people's kishkes, and he really loses it over the piano, as you can see.
Yeah.
Really likes to dance. At some point, the Bentleys mentioned that that's more or less how they it reminds them of how they stole Mrs. Bentley's grandmother's diamond, as by having her pretend to be a psychiatrist and him pretending to be a lunatic. And while everyone was in the dining room with her, he got out of his room and broke open the safe and stole the diamond. Getting any hints?
Not quite yet.
Okay, so Piposh then takes over the piano and starts to play a song all on his own. Everyone else join in and starts singing along, which really angers Piposh because he claims that they're all taking ownership of his song. Just becomes a complete gatekeeper and loses it over the rights to the song, and he starts yelling at the game director that everyone else stole the song and it was his song to begin with. So he decides to just walk off, and that was basically the end of day 2, or rather that part of day 2.
So say we're at the halfway point, under an hour, not bad.
Yeah. Now, are you sure that you're not really getting anything from?
Not 100%. I gotta keep going.
Okay, so later that night.
Advice. A lot of times I'm on the ball and I can see what's happening right off the bat. Sometimes it does take me a little bit.
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay in the clips. But on the second day, and I really hope I remember to put the sound on this clip, because this is what happens on day 2.
Did somebody get killed with a buzzsaw?
It was an electric shock.
Oh, okay.
So who do you think got murdered this time?
With an electric shock?
Yeah. Who could it possibly be?
I want to say the psychiatrist.
So you're going with the psychiatrist then?
Psychiatrist.
Yeah, and you'd be right. It was the psychiatrist.
Only
and
reason
once again,
I put that together is because he's the only one that electric shock makes sense with.
Yep. And once again, Piposh is first on the scene, and everyone else walk in right after him, which further raises more suspicion towards him being a potential suspect, even though, again, he's the one investigating.
I still want to stick with the leprechaun, but for whatever reason, I'm starting to feel suspicious about Tiny.
Why?
I don't know. The guy's a little too obsessed.
I mean, over the course of the game, he starts to get a little less obsessed because of the way people treats him, because, he's an asshole and he treats him like shit. So he starts to really hate on him. But for some reason, he still sticks around with him because he's already promised to do it.
And see, that right there is why I think he might be the killer, because, I mean, he met his hero. His hero's an ass. Could have snapped in time to get his revenge, right?
Probably. Now, after some much-needed fun shenanigans with Loudmouth and Yeshurun, are we calling it? So let's just call him the Leprechaun from now on?
Yeah.
So, yeah, after some funny shenanigans with Loudmouth and the Leprechaun, Brigitte finally says something useful in this conversation, saying that all the people on the ship are just as crazy as the lunatic downstairs. and everyone immediately yell, "The lunatic downstairs!" And they all run off outside of the psychiatrist's room. Piposh once again has no idea what's happening, but he still tries to be ahead of the group. And as you can see here, to his detriment,
yeah, he walks right by the door.
yeah. Eventually, everyone walk back into the lunatic's room from earlier, if you remember, and they find that the cell is now open, and he left the building. He's no longer in his cell.
I don't think he's the lunatic. I think he's a pawn.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I think he's a pawn. People are just using him.
Okay, cool. So Pustema starts to get really nervous at the sheer idea of a lunatic wandering around freely on the ship at this point, to which Loudmouth says, "I'd be surprised if there's only one lunatic on the ship." Yeah, and so the leprechaun responds by saying, "Hey, uncle, I'd be surprised if there are only two."
Fuck. He's not wrong.
To which really angers his uncle, saying that such mathematical jokes is unbecoming of a man of science like him. And he basically just says, commands him to go clean up his room.
So it's almost like he's an indentured servant.
Yeah, kind of. To which the leprechaun basically tells him to fuck off.
I would.
Yeah, and when he starts to, and when he yells at him, "Who taught you such language?"
Your mother.
No, Piposh says, "Well, fucking shit, can you stop that? Who taught him such language?"
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Loudmouth also announces that as a result of all these frequent visits with all the other guests on the ship, his nephew has broken down, as he puts it. He's gone wrong. His mind has gone rotten, and it will be best to lock him up in the belly of the ship in place of the lunatic.
So he's trying to blame it on the nephew, on the leprechaun.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's really, or he's kind of blaming the state of what's happening to his nephew on all the other people. Which, you know what, I kind of see why. Like all these crazy lunatics, and this kid who probably never saw the outside of his own room before coming on this ship. You can kind of see here where his concerns lie.
A little bit, but he's still not innocent.
Yep. Anyways, so Piposh then decides to end the conversation there and go right back to sleep, which of course brings us to day 3. Now, in the actual game, the game actually comes up with 2 discs for the game, and an extra disc for some music stuff. And at this point,
the game is old.
Yeah, it's a very old game. So, in 1999, man.
Yep, the year of the Phantom Menace.
True, and the Matrix.
Yep.
Now, at this point, you kind of have to take out disc 1 and put in disc 2 to continue the game. And this being somehow coincidentally at the 1 hour mark, this is the intermission I mentioned. I can't remember if I said it on screen or off screen. Yeah, but this kind of brings us to a bit of a break. So, nice. Would you like to take a break? Go grab something to eat, because I got a few. See, I have a few clips I need to delete and make sure that I can upload some new ones. So, do you want to take a quick bathroom break or something?
I got some stuff I can do in the computer, so I can sit here and we can chat.
Yeah, I just kind of need to organize the clips. This is what happens when you try to break something like this down. It's incredibly long.
This should have been a 2-parter.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not really what we do.
No.
So
we did it once.
I mean, that wasn't really a 2-parter.
No, we just made it that way, didn't we?
Kind of. All right, so I can start the conversation, at least as it pertains to early in the morning for day 3. Oh man, these clips are taking forever to load. But I think I can at least.
StreamYards.
What?
So that's the thing about StreamYards. I do wish though that we had the ability to put be able to put more things on StreamYards.
Yeah. Do you have any idea why we're so limited?
It probably has something to do with bandwidth or something like that.
Probably. I think I'm missing one of the clips that I'm trying to upload. Where is it?
This actually sounds like a game I would have enjoyed playing as a kid, minus the the language barrier. Because this type of shit's right up my alley for humor wise.
Well,
I love absurd comedy. I love fourth wall breaking, which is why I love things like Deadpool and stuff like that. I just love absurd humor if it's good.
And trust me, nothing gets more absurd than this. I mean, I can tell you there are generations of children who grew up rotten, arguing with their parents because of certain languages that they learned playing this game.
And over here,
myself included.
Over here, it was The Simpsons.
Yeah, I think at this point I gotta. I think. Please don't tell me I delete. Yep, I accidentally deleted one of the clips. That's why I can't find it anywhere.
So does that mean you're going to be acting it out?
No. Let me see. Let me see if I can restore it. Hold on. If it's still in the recycling bin, I should be able. There it is. Okay, let's just hope that it's where it should be now. Live TV, folks. It's a killer.
Yeah, no.
There it is. I found it. So now we can begin. We can start to begin day 3 while all the other clips are loading because it's taking a hell of a long time. So yeah, day 3. Day 3 also begins with someone waking up Piposh from his sleep. Now, who would you think that could be?
Based on the previous days, it probably would be Tiny, or I was gonna say, or the psychiatrist, but he's dead. I'm gonna stick with Tiny.
Wrong on both accounts.
Well, obviously, but
it's
yeah,
I
expected her.
Yep,
and with the pillow
again with the pillow. So apparently, as she tries to wake him up fervently, she mentions that now her magic crystal ball has developed the ability to track down the killer. Or no, not the killer. I clicked on the clip and it didn't play. Did it play for you?
I played, but I didn't hear anything.
There wasn't. You didn't hear what I said?
No, I heard what you said. I'm saying I didn't hear anything from the clip.
Oh, good, because there was no sound.
No, I saw it, and that's why I said, "Oh, I would have expected her."
No, the other one that I played.
No, I only saw the one.
Oh, so here's the other one. Hopefully, it plays this time.
Oh, okay. Now I see it. She's throwing.
But I can't see it.
A bouncy snowball off his head.
That's not a snowball. That's her crystal ball. She bounces the crystal ball on his head, trying to wake him up.
Surprised it didn't shatter.
Well, his head is made of strong stuff.
Apparently. Excuse me.
So yeah, apparently her crystal ball has developed the magical ability to locate the diamond.
Ooh la la.
Yeah. And she now claims that she can use her crystal ball to find whoever holds the diamond now, track them down, and bring them to justice. Of course, Piposh refuses to go anywhere with her this early in the morning because he's still sleeping. So she uses her magic powers to transform him into a Sesame Street character.
Fuck off.
Are you seeing the clip? Because again, I clicked on
it. Street character.
But you did see what happened?
Yep, it looks like Professor the fucking hedgehog from Toy Story 3.
Oh no, that's Kipi the hedgehog. It's a character exclusive to the Israeli Sesame Street.
Which would explain why I said it didn't appear Sesame Street, but he kind of does look like Timothy Dalton's character in Toy Story 3.
Yeah, I mean, actually, now that you mention it, besides the skin color, that's pretty much it. The same attire.
Yep.
But yeah, so apparently until all these clips finish loading, I can't see them on my end, but at least you can see them on your end. So hopefully it'll look good.
I'll narrate to what the hell I'm seeing.
But yeah, so after turning him into Kipi the hedgehog, she then decides to use her crystal ball's magic to find the diamond. But of course, unfortunately, Tiny thinks it's a football.
Yep.
And so he kicked it. What?
I said, yep, there's Tiny.
Yeah. And by the way, that's a real football, not the fake American thing.
At this point, I get it.
I know you get it. I just feel like saying it.
Yep. Yes, I know.
Okay, so after the crystal ball heals itself, and after Bustema changes Piposh back into Piposh, the chase is on. They follow a single file line. They start chasing the ball, which, as you can see, is pretty slow. They say good morning to Henry Steam along the way, who says good morning back, and they find the lunatic. They start to chase him off. They pick along the way. Of course, they meet the Bentleys, who question Piposh what this whole thing is about. And he mentions, "I don't know. We're gonna beat somebody up. Who? What do I care who?" So they all follow him all the way to the roof, and in the roof, the conflict is resolved by way of an all-out brawl between all the different party members involved. As you can see here, Tiny jumps Piposh and starts fighting him. Bustema and the lunatic are fighting amongst themselves for the fate of the diamond, and the Bentleys are just fighting amongst themselves because that's what they do every day anyway. So why the hell not? So yeah, this also is part of a mini game. We basically have to fight everyone else, and since you're playing as Piposh and you're playing as the main character, you kind of have to win. You kind of have to beat everyone else.
First mini game?
No, that's just one of them.
Oh, okay. Because
that's the first mini game that's part of the story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I don't recall you mentioning any mini games earlier.
Yeah, there are all kinds of other mini games. I could have added them as clips as well, but it really would have made this video incredibly long. So yeah, during this brawl fight scene between all the different characters, several interesting things happen. One of which being Piposh apparently punches Tiny in the face so hard that he knocks his jaw out, leaving him completely toothless for the rest of the game.
Oh.
The other thing that happens is Piposh picks up the lunatic and throws him off the ship.
Oh, that's not good.
Yep. And another thing that happens is Piposh also similarly picks up Bustema, and rather than throwing her off the ship, he throws her on the chimney.
I don't know why, but I love it how his face, whenever he does things like that, it always looks like he's scared shitless.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of his resting face.
Yeah.
Yeah. After beating everyone else in the fight scene, the fight ends by way of a literal smoke screen.
Oh, jeez.
Which, once the screen clears out, the diamond is nowhere to be found, nowhere to be seen, and all Piposh really cares about is drawing attention to the fact that he knocked out Tiny's jaw out, and now he's basically toothless, and is having problems speaking, which, of course, as you can imagine, angers Tiny to no end.
Yep, looks like it. And I love how that's what he's bragging about. What a dick.
Yeah, I mean, that's Piposh for you. Anyway, so after oh shit. Hold on, give me a second. And now it would appear I have to get rid of a couple of other clips, but so yeah, after this fight sequence is over, you and Tiny continue your trek across the ship, where once again, just like day 1 and day 2, you can go to all kinds of different rooms, you can talk to all kinds of different people, but along the way, one of the places you would like to go is going back to your room. And as you go back into your room, you find that you find that the lunatic is there sitting and waiting for you.
How the hell?
Yep, he just happened to be there this whole time, and he waited for you to show up.
Well, I just want to know how the hell he escaped the water.
I mean, it's a game.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey. Okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of a thought pattern you're going to have to keep throughout basically the majority of this game, because weird shit happens all the time in this game that you just can't explain. But
so basically, don't think about it too hard.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But
I can do that.
So, but you don't want. You're not really asking yourself what the lunatic is potentially doing there.
Well, yeah, and I'm also wondering how the hell he got there. But yeah, exactly. Why is he there? What does he have to relay some information? Maybe.
Yes, that's the exact same reason why he's there. He's there to prove his innocence.
Makes sense.
Basically. Now, and then he goes into a big long spiel about him not actually being a lunatic, but rather he was only pretending to be a lunatic because, and really, this is kind of where the ball keeps rolling. He's actually a long descendant of a royal family of Mamelukes dating back 2,000 years.
Oh, wait, what?
What?
A royal family of what?
Mamelukes.
Italians?
Turkish.
Mameluke is also an Italian term.
For what?
It is a nickname. Hold on, I can't remember exactly what it translates to. Mameluke is a member of a. Oh, that's a Turkish one.
That's what I'm saying. Mamelukes were Turkish.
Mameluke is Italian American slang for someone who did something foolish or silly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And I didn't know it's a Turkish term.
No, it's not a Turkish term. It was an empire, the Mamluk Empire.
I did not know that either.
Yeah. So apparently he's the last living descendant of a royal dynasty of Mamelukes going back 2,000 years. Even though in reality the Mamluks only were only founded around the 1800, around the 9th century AD. So how the hell were they around 2,000 years ago? Again, don't think about it too hard.
Da Vinci Code logic, leave it at that.
Pretty much, yeah. So then he goes on this big long spiel explaining that he's at something, I don't know if you noticed it by now, but the asshole that I stole these clips from basically put a website in the right dead center in the screen.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, so I had to hide it. So that
you did that though, right?
What?
You know why you did that though, right?
So
to get copyright striked.
Yeah. Or so idiots like me wouldn't be able to do this, right?
I'm thinking more likely the latter. Or
cool.
the former, I guess, in this case.
Yeah, trying to organize these clips while you're talking, kind of difficult. But yeah, so basically he then goes on a big, long, massive spiel about his longest living descendants, who actually, they're the owners of the diamond that everyone's trying to get, which went missing several centuries ago until it was found by construction workers working on the road next to a sewer, and taken away by archaeologists to a museum, not knowing their full potential value of it. And you can really tell that Piposh is really paying much attention to what he's saying. The guy's really the guy is basically spilling out his life story in front of him, and the guy just takes a nap.
An ass.
Yeah, that's just the way he is. Along the way, he also explains that the psychiatrist that was murdered last night wasn't really a psychiatrist, but rather a theater actor, a stage actor that he paid off to pretend to be a psychiatrist to help with the ruse that they were trying to build.
He couldn't have picked anyone better.
Apparently not.
Jesus.
But doesn't that now ring a bell somehow?
I don't know why, but I started thinking of the Mandarin, even though I know that's way the fuck off.
Do you not remember what the Bentleys said earlier about stealing her grandmother's diamond or crown jewels, I should say?
Yeah.
One of them pretended to be a psychiatrist, and the other one pretended to be a lunatic, and they basically pulled the exact same ruse.
Oh shit!
Yeah. I was trying to lead you on that path.
Sorry, no, I missed the connection.
Yeah. So apparently, whoever the killer really was, if it was the Bentleys or not, they realized that maybe potentially the psychiatrist was actually the original thief, and so that's why they murdered him last night.
It would have been pretending to be the patient. It would have been what's his face? It would have been lunatic, would it?
Yeah, whose real name is Effie, and we're just going to continue calling him Effie from now on.
Okay.
And Effie continues to tell his story to Piposh while Piposh goes off screen to grab a drink. Anyways, he tells the story about how he was the real mastermind. He had, as you can see here, or probably not see, he had the key to his cell the whole time. And while everyone were at the parlor the first day, he broke out of his cell, went to the safe, broke it, and reacquired his the diamond that has belonged to him. And clearly, Piposh is very interested in the conversation, much like you are right now. I can see you hanging out in there. And well,
I'm watching it.
People just continue to ignore him. Tiny just goes, you know what? Forget about this idiot. Come over here and tell me the rest of the story. I'll listen to you. People continues to have a phone call with whoever that is, and Effie mentions that when he heard the psychiatrist getting murdered, and then the power outage, he knew that the murder would be coming for him next. So he ran off and will not be seen again until the very end of the game.
No, I was paying attention. I'm just having a smoke. I was watching the whole thing. So basically, Effie stole the diamonds not for financial gain. He did it because it's rightfully his.
Yeah, and it still is. He's the last known.
I've been paying attention. I've actually.
Hey, you get a gold star.
The whole fucking episode.
So that right there was the story of Effie. And let me just see if I can make sense of some of these clips. Some of these I probably should have deleted instead of the one that I deleted and had to restore live on air. But I mean, that's just me. So along the way, you also go ahead and visit all the other rooms. You find the leprechaun literally hanging around.
Yep.
And apparently his uncle is doing a bit of an experiment, testing the speed velocity of how his head can get knocked against the wall.
You Israelis are weird.
I mean, hey, it's not us. It's that guy. Don't come at me for what this idiot is doing to his poor nephew right there. I think I might have found another clip that needs restoring. But yeah, along the way, you also go back and visit Uh, Captain Krupnik again. No, I didn't delete that one. Weird. But anyways, you go and visit Captain Krupnik again, which is at that point that Piposh informs Captain Krupnik that there are some weird eyes at the stock room on the ship. He then takes Captain Krupnik to visit it with him, saying that after 12 years of captaining the ship, he's never once been down at the stock room, and there they find the eyes again.
I just love how his walk is basically like a show tune.
Yeah, just like his character. But as you just saw in that clip right there, he basically he couldn't really make much sense of those eyes staring at him, so they just walked off and pretending like the whole thing never really happened.
Yeah, it seems like he gave up a little too quickly.
Yep, because I mean, he is what he is. Along the way, when you go around different places, you also find the Bentleys apparently have an ambush to whoever crosses this particular area of the ship.
Oh yeah,
and they beat anyone who comes across searching for the diamond, but they don't really find anything too interesting in Piposh and Tiny's person. There's $1 and sunglasses on Piposh and about 50 orange stickers on Tiny.
I was gonna say those look like condoms.
I mean, this game is pretty out there, but I don't think they would have went that far.
No, that's more North American toilet humor.
Probably, yeah. You also find Bridget throwing away dishes she finds too difficult to clean up because she doesn't really give a shit. Kind of start to wonder if she really is the housekeeper of the ship or not. You also find Pustema incredibly happy about something. I don't know. You don't really know why, but I mean, because Piposh is what he is, he doesn't really care all that much. So he just walks off. And once again, having to upload these clips is really annoying. Wish StreamYard would have made things easier for us, but whatever. To say nothing about organizing them after you've uploaded them. So anyways, again, people can continue to notice that people continue to get murdered. And once again, everyone keeps blaming Piposh for being the number one suspect. And then you get into evening number 3, night number 3 on the ship. And you go back to the parlor like you do every night. And you find that everyone else are dead. Everyone else have been murdered, and you except for you and Tiny, and you start asking Tiny what the problem is, and it's then revealed that Tiny is the killer after all.
Okay, yeah, he was starting to seem suspicious after a while.
Yeah, so you walk in, you find everyone dead, everyone except you and Tiny are sprawled up against the floor and whatever everything else. It's revealed that Tiny is the main killer and has been all along. But then it's revealed that, oops, nope, they were just pranking him. Yeah.
After it was revealed, I'm just part of me is wondering. I'm like, are they all in on it?
Yep. And as you can imagine, Piposh has a very logical response to what just happened.
Hit her in the junk.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I would say it's a very logical response to what just happened, right?
I mean,
the shit out of everybody.
Whoa! Did he just give him the Stone Cold Stunner?
Maybe you'd probably know that better than me.
So at the very end of that clip, he kicked Tiny in the gut and then grabbed him by the head and dropped him. That is the Stone Cold Stunner.
Let's play that again. Again, he hits Mrs. Bentley, knees Bridget, headbutts Mr. Bentley, and
Yep. Here, I'll show you what I mean.
Probably after the ship. Oh yeah, after the thing. Oh yeah. Again, these clips are very, very confusing to me. I almost forgot to play a clip that I know someone watching this would be very happy and it's still during day 3 where we get this wonderful moment.
למה הדבר דומה? לצפרדע שיושבת בצלוחית דבש. היא אומרת, זה כל כך טעים, למה שאזוז לי?
And I'm hoping to say that to play that clip made conversation, but again, I mean, to keep track of all these clips is really, really annoying. In any case, so after this, do you want to keep looking for the thing before we move on to the next?
Right now, I'm actually keep going. I am listening.
No, I don't need you listening. I need you watching, because there's a sort of plot twist that's about to happen, and I want you to be there for it.
I'm watching.
Okay, cool. So after that, after what happens in then with that, sorry, I lost my place trying to delete all these clips. But anyway, so the Bentleys once again open their mouths and start mentioning another job that they once had, and at this point, at this time, they were stealing. They stole the Raja's sandals, or flip flops, as they say in a Muslim country, and these 10 Muslims chased them all around the rooftop of a hotel because they stole the flip flops. So what they did in order to escape them was that they threw them down the chimney shaft to pick it up from the inside of the hotel much later. At this point, can you maybe this time you can guess where I'm going with this, where I'm trying to lead you towards?
Okay, can you say it one more time? Because I think I know where we're going. I just want to confirm it. Like, just a quick.
Okay, so they stole the flip flops of the Raja and were chased by 10 angry Muslims who chased them all across the Ritz Hotel. And in order to avoid being captured by them, they threw those flip flops down a chimney shaft to pick it up from the inside of the hotel much later, once the heat has died down.
I'm sorry,
let me see if I'd already deleted it. Really hope I did not. Yep, it turns out I did delete it, but thankfully it's a very short clip, so oops, sorry, I went to the background. Damn it, StreamYard, why can't I do more than this stuff? More stuff. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Dang it, I think I might have also deleted it from the thing. Where is it? Basically, since I can't find the clip, do you remember earlier that day, sir?
Yes, but which part are you referring to?
The morning, specifically.
Okay.
What happened that morning?
Oh, Jesus, 50.
Everyone were fighting,
yeah.
right? And do you remember me telling you what some of the major things that happened during the fight? What specifically what Piposh did during the fight?
No, I don't.
Okay, so three main things.
Yeah.
He punched Tiny's jaw out of his mouth.
Oh, yeah. This is where he lost the teeth. Yes.
Yeah.
He threw what's his face overboard, right?
Yeah. And the
then
third
he
thing,
threw Western nuts onto the chimney.
Yeah.
Sorry, for some reason I thought that was the day before.
Oh no, it was this one. So since she was the closest one to the chimney, what do you imagine she could have done?
Oh, she could have easily have snuck down and grabbed the sandals.
The diamond.
Yeah, the diamond. Sorry.
So she threw the diamond down the chimney shaft to pick it up from the engine room, which is now empty since Henry Steam has permanently vacated the premises.
Yeah.
At that point, the first to catch on onto this strategy was, of course, Brigitte, who then argues that she forgot, she neglected to clean up her room. She tries to go there. Bustema tries to stop her, and then 3 pirates into the room.
That's fucking out of nowhere. Wait,
Yep.
2 of them are dressed like pirates, and one of them's dressed like an accountant.
I know that's kind of the joke. So yeah, turns out that these 3 pirates were the eyes that were at the stockroom the whole time.
Okay.
I mean, the game director did say that they're not coming out until day 3. Well, it's day 3 now, so they're out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the captain of this crew of pirates is literally called Captain Duby Nachts.
Okay, so we'll call him Doobie.
Yeah, let's call him Duby, because I'm guessing calling him Nachts is a little too much, right?
No, I could anglicize it and call him Knox.
Okay, no, that works. So yeah,
Knox is.
Captain Duby Nachts basically comes out and does the whole Jamon Hansu thing. Is like, look at me, I'm the captain now, and says he'll be captaining the ship from now on. He'll be residing in Krupnik's room, while his 2 co-conspirators, Edna and Weitskop, will also be there. Edna is the short guy, Weitskop is the accountant guy. Now, Edna will be the new mechanics, since apparently they seem to be lacking in one for some reason that Captain Nachts can't possibly fathom. And Weitskop will be in charge of entertainment, because apparently that's also important on a pirate ship.
Yeah, I guess why not? Hey, gotta keep him happy somehow.
Yep. I mean, that's kind of the Roman approach, isn't it? Keep them happy and fed, and
basically
they won't rebel. Yeah. So after that, he commands them all to turn in, completely missing the fact that Brigitte somehow managed to slip by him this whole time. And then we get into night number 3, which this happens.
The room is haunted. I heard a heartbeat and
No, that's the wind outside.
okay, but I heard a heartbeat.
Yeah. Let me listen to it. Oh no. That's the constant sound you hear all the time. Well,
okay.
I'm guessing it's just the waves hitting the ship or something like that.
Okay.
I never understood that sound effect, but I mean, it is part of the game.
I thought it was on. The room is haunted.
No. So this is what happens in night 3.
See, where you cut it off, is right where I'm about to tell what's happening, because all I see is it's nothing, and then the blanket goes. He throws the blanket off and goes, ah.
So yeah, there's another murder.
How did he know?
I mean, you hear a scream. I'm sorry I cut it.
So I thought it was him that screamed.
No, that was someone else. Can you guess who that possibly could be?
Oh, fuck. Okay. So the last one was the psychiatrist.
Yep.
I'm going to go with the old lady, the chimney lady.
Bustema?
Yeah, why not?
Well, so by this point, Piposh has already gotten used to all these frequent murders every night, so he didn't even bother to change into a pajama. He just got up in his regular clothes and decided to casually, with sunglasses for some reason, walk all the way to the room, which of course ends up being the room of Bustema, and he finds one of her interesting knickknacks and picks it up.
How the hell did I get that right? That was just a shot in the dark.
Yeah. Maybe you just didn't like her all that much.
No. I don't know. I was still thinking about that chimney, I guess.
Yeah. The chimney is a pretty big clue there. So now, once again, he arrived first on the scene and even picked up one of the things on the floor, which is even more condemning evidence, causing people to once again suspect him for being the main prime suspect of the killings. I mean, at this point, it's starting to become a little more than a bit obvious at this point.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you agree?
I think I might see the pattern. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did the psychiatrist dance on the chimney earlier?
No.
Yeah, never mind. There goes my theory on who to pay attention for.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're always thinking of who else it could be.
Well, it's because you had said the chimney plays an important part, and I thought I remembered the psychiatrist dancing in the first day, and I thought somebody was on the chimney. So I was like, whoever interacts with the chimney is going to be the next one to go.
No, he danced on the piano on day 2, and what I meant about the chimney is she threw the diamond down the chimney shaft.
Mm-hmm.
That was really the main clue there. So yeah, after she tries to choke out Piposh from beyond the grave for some reason, everyone's kind of start to lose their way, and Bridget starts to dance, which of course causes causes the leprechaun to join in on the festivities, and seeing this crazy dance causes Captain Krupnik to also join in, followed by the Bentleys. The Loudmouth also joins in after yelling at Piposh, which causes, of course, Piposh to join in, urging Tiny to do the same, and they all basically, quite literally, dance over Pustema's grave at this point.
What the hell?
Yeah. And that is the end of night number 3, or day 3.
Okay. That's just fucking weird. Okay.
So
remember that thing I mentioned earlier, the stunner, where he kicked him in the stomach, grabbed him, and dropped? This is what a Stone Cold Stunner is. That is what Piposh did.
Cool. So now I know where it came from. It always seemed a bit weird.
Move.
Cool. It's nice. It's nice to see the inspiration of it.
Yeah.
So morning number 4.
Hold on. What year did this come out?
1999.
Which is exactly, that would have been the height of that guy's popularity.
Cool. Maybe they were fans, the developers.
Well, I mean, the WWE at that point was like one of the hottest pop culture properties out there.
Okay.
One day I'll sit down and I'll tell you all about it. It's actually a pretty fascinating time.
All right. Would it make sense for this show?
Yep, I'll argue it because I remember I mentioned that I wouldn't mind branching out and adding something from the States. So yes.
Okay. So can we talk about morning number 4 or day 4?
Yes, let's go ahead.
In day 4, once again, Piposh is awoken by somebody. Can you guess who that is?
Is woken by someone?
Someone wakes him up.
I'm going to go a little off the board. I'm going to say one of the Bentleys this time.
Okay, that's a cool guess, but no cigar. As this mysterious figure opens the door.
Okay, it's the fucking leprechaun.
Followed by Dr. Loudmouth and the leprechaun, of course. And
his Groucho Marx walk gives it away.
Yeah. And obviously Loudmouth is pretty upset to find that people are still asleep at this hour, so he literally uses the leprechaun to wake him up. He just throws him at him. And once again, just like when Tiny tried to wake him up, Piposh has a very logical response to waking up, being someone, but just having someone barge into his room and try to wake him up in the morning.
Become a communist? That's logical?
No, the dance.
With the Russian sickle and hammer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Do you prefer this response better?
KIBINIMAT! 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 KIBINIMAT!
Based on what I've seen so far, that one seems more likely.
Yeah. So after doing that, the doctor commands Mr. Loudmouth commands the leprechaun to notify everyone that he's now ready to start the demonstration, urging him to tell everyone to be quiet.
שקט! אמרתי שקט! שתקו! תמו את הפה המלוכלך לכם! די! שקט נו! די נו! אנחנו מוכנים! שקט!
So apparently these guys are part Christ because they both walked on water.
Or maybe they just walked so fast that it looked like they were walking on water.
Maybe.
But yeah, after that bit of shenanigans, the Loudmouth finally unveils the creature under the tarp, which is revealed to be Yeshurun 2000.
Oh.
Just built a robot. What?
Play it again. Oh, okay.
He basically built a robot modeled after his nephew, which is programmed to, I'm pretty sure you can guess what?
Programmed to do whatever he wants, or whatever Leprechaun wants him to.
Find the diamond.
Oh!
I mean, why should he care about his nephew?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they once again start another big chase scene with the Yeshurun 2000 leading the chase, giving people some time to dress up. And once again, they walk, and the robot basically goes cold, cold, warm, warmer, getting warm, warm, too hot, 100 degrees Celsius, add some tea, hot, hell, volcanic. Don't leave the house. And then, of course, they reach
Babette.
And they follow her, knowing that full well that she's the one that in possession of the diamond, and they start chasing her. She tries going into Tiny's room to try and hide, which is pretty unsuccessful. They all barge into the room right after her. Piposh then orders Tiny to jump at her and grab her before she can get away, which, of course, isn't very effective.
No.
Yeah. And the Captain Doobie's just, oh yeah, morning jog, very nice, very nice. And then of course it leads into this funny moment.
Oh, ow!
Did you notice the running gag of after Piposh bursts in the room while they're asleep, then Leprechaun bursts in while they're dressing up. The third time, they're ready for whoever's going to burst in.
Yep.
And they're ready with a vase. And so after some casual convincing by Mrs. Bentley to tell them what's going on, the two Bentleys also join in on the run, chasing after Brigitte, which once again, just like the previous day, the chase goes all the way up to the roof with all the party members involved, going for another big, massive brawl.
Naturally.
With one another. And once again, this goes
as
crazy.
one does on a cruise.
Yeah, as one does on a cruise. Once again, Tiny versus Piposh, the Leprechaun versus the Robot Leprechaun, Loudmouth versus Brigitte, the Bentleys amongst themselves. And this one is even longer and more and harder than the previous one because the ones that just keep knocking to the floor keep getting back up and fighting you again. And at one point during this fight sequence, something interesting happens, which is that Tiny creeps up behind Piposh and headbutts him so hard that he literally knocks his head off and throws it into the water, leaving Piposh completely headless now.
What?
Did not see that one coming, did you?
Nope.
So, I mean, how the hell is Piposh going to run the game from now on?
I don't know. I'm stumped.
Yeah. That one really had you going there, didn't you? Didn't it? So after getting mad at Tiny for what he did, and Tiny getting his much needed revenge on Piposh for what he did to him previously with his jaw. Then Bridget comes.
Sorry, was that what happens if you make a wrong decision?
No, it's literally a part of the game. It's in the plot that Piposh gets his head knocked off.
And he's dead. What the hell?
No, he's still alive. I mean, he was clearly standing there.
Okay.
So then Bridget comes in with an alternative solution. Basically, she decides to give him a replacement head by bringing up one of the buckets that she uses to wash the floor and puts it on his shoulders as a head. And using her lipstick, she even gives him a face.
What the fuck am I? What am I watching? Like
this is the brilliance of Piposh.
Brilliance, psychotic. I'm sure.
I mean, it's a brilliant insanity.
Okay.
Okay, so following this ridiculousness, Piposh then decides to drop everything. He doesn't care about the game anymore. He doesn't care about the investigation anymore. All he wants to do right now is to just go back to his room and completely rethink his life.
Yeah,
He's like,
no.
It's like, fuck it, I can't be an actor anymore. How the hell am I gonna receive the Oscar looking like this? I can't act anymore. I don't have a face. Tiny even makes a funny comment saying that he's always been an actor of just one expression. And as he walks into his room, he even straight up refuses to click one of the optional dialogues.
Wow, he's really is done.
That's how much he's pissed.
Well,
and after a few, what?
Can't blame him.
True.
He can't get ahead in life anymore. But
hold on.
Yeah. Yep.
He even says, I gotta go clear my head as he walks off. And after a few minutes of contemplating what he's going to do next, this happens.
A ship passes by and a baby cries.
No. It's another murder.
Okay. The people who made this game need better sound effects because that sounded like a baby crying.
Maybe it makes sense in game, but can you tell me from that sound effect who got murdered this time around?
Can you play it again?
Let me find it. Nope, sorry. See, the horn is another big major clue here.
Really?
Yeah. Do you want me to play it again?
No. Okay, so a clue as to who killed or who is dead.
Who died? Who got murdered?
Oh, okay. The horn. The horn. The horn.
I'm gonna play it again.
Trying to think out of like who's still alive. Up until this point, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Should I put you out of your misery?
Yeah, let me think. I'm thinking it's one of the two blondes.
Okay. So after refusing to go investigate who that is, and some much needed persuasion from the production team, he goes and finds that it was actually Edna the pirate, the new mechanic.
Oh,
hence the horn.
Really?
I mean, it was the sound of the machinery.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. However,
It must definitely work differently over there than it does here, because I would not have thought machine with the horn.
I mean, it's
In this context, I should say.
it's the sound of the engines. Bomb, bomb. No.
No, that sounds more like the sound of like a garbage truck driving by.
Okay.
A horn. Yeah, weird. Okay.
Now, here's the interesting part about this murder in particular is that he's not dead. He's dying. He's got a few more. He's got a few more minutes left to live, and he definitely knows who did it, and he's willing to speak. But Piposh just gets so annoyed at the fact that he just dragged him all the way over there for nothing, so he just decides to speed up the process by beating him senseless, hoping that it will speed up the process of his death. And well, that's more or less when everyone else show up. We're thinking that this time they were a bit early.
This man has anger issues and needs therapy.
Yeah, and that keeps getting him into some trouble. So, anyways, after trying to explain away what happened in the most rational way possible, Captain Dubinach shows up and tells him the story about how they always misbehave. Why, just earlier that morning, Edna came crying to him, saying that someone dropped a shiny, sharp, pointy thing on his head, making that almost cracked open his skull. So Captain Dubinach took this sharp and pointy thing and put him in the vault where it can't do harm to anyone.
Okay.
You're following what happens here, right?
I am following what happens. Yes, he found the diamond, which he has no clue what it is or why it's there.
Yeah, probably the worst pirate in the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy literally would not recognize a valuable diamond if it fell on his head.
No kidding.
Which happened. So, yeah, now we're kind of back in the same situation that we were in day one. With the diamond, of course, being in the safe. And then, of course, obviously, after that, you sort of get dispersed to do your own thing. And you know what? Isn't it nice that every single day there are less and less people to talk about, which kind of makes us going through all these days a lot faster. You find, they find the two captains in a heated argument over the decoration of the captain's room. You find Brigitte cooking some bad, foul cake, which she hopes to give to everyone, give them food poisoning and make them sick as she goes out and searches for the diamond.
I would say she's going to be successful based on what I just saw.
Yeah. You also find Loudmouth forcing Yeshurun to prepare for the eventuality that the ship will eventually drown, and so he decides that he needs to know how to properly survive in the water in such a case, and so he forces him to run laps in the jacuzzi of all places, and also prepare for several other potential threats like a hailstorm, a bloodthirsty shark, a plane crashing on his head, and even pouring rain. Yeah. You can kind of tell that he continues to abuse and mistreats his nephew from time to time, right? Really kind of pushing him over the edge. Let me just do one quick look to make sure that I didn't forget any potential clips, because I'd hate to miss anything. No, I'm pretty sure I've got all of them at this point. They're not in the proper order, of course, but yeah, I think I don't need to upload any more new clips. So I think we can just go ahead and skip right on to the evening of that day.
Yes, sir.
Since there aren't that many people to talk about, and the evening basically goes with Loudmouth and Yeshurun and the Leprechaun doing a tap dancing performance, and a dance mixed in with some mathematical equations as they're singing, which then, of course, prompts what?
Is it all right?
Yeah. So then, of course, Piposh gets jealous in this, and decides that him and Tiny should do a bit all on their own, which she continues to change continues to change as his mood goes on. Let me think I found the clip I was missing here. And everyone else just, forced to sit down and watch this horrible display of acting by both Piposh and Tiny. And Captain Dubinax then says that it's always great to know that knowing that everyone's still alive on the ship is still in the safe and sound in the same one room. Nothing bad could possibly happen, right?
Right.
אמבולנס הגיע עם ז'ק ברל, הוא עושה המון רעש. אני לצעוק לו באוזן להגיד לו להפסיק.
And the cops show up.
No, apparently the safe has been broken into once again. They all rush into the safe and find that the diamond has gone missing again. Of course, they're followed by Loudmouth and Leprechaun, who had to do a quick clothes change because that's why they were so late. So, who do you think did it this time?
That's what I'm trying to think. Like, who wasn't there?
Yeah.
And the only one that's coming to mind is the fucking the crazy guy from earlier.
Who isn't really crazy?
Yeah, that's the only one that I can think of.
And you know what? It's always nice that at this point the Bentleys once again show their expertise in robbing and breaking and entering. And Mrs. Bentley then says that, you know what? If I had a robot with a built-in diamond detector, I'd program it to break open the safe while I'm tap dancing with my useless nephew to draw attention.
I forgot about the fucking robot.
Yeah. At this point, Dr. Loudmouth realizes what's happening, and Brigitte remembers that she forgot to give Piposh a tongue. Yeah.
A tongue?
Yeah, she drew a tongue.
Yeah, his bucket head.
She drew a tongue on his bucket head.
And she keeps her lipstick in her cleavage.
Yeah. Where else would you keep it? Have you seen what she's wearing? Where else is she supposed to keep it?
I haven't stopped looking at what she's wearing. That's very accurate. I actually know people who do that.
Yeah. And something that I completely forgot about that's actually very important, and I'm kind of sad at myself that I forgot, but you can kind of guess what happens next. The Loudmouth realizes what's happening, all eyes on him, so he makes up an excuse and runs off back to his room with the Leprechaun. Now, here's the thing I forgot about that still happens during the day, is that during the day, the Bentleys were out in the boxing ring fighting each other. They even left a note on their bed just in case people come snooping around, so he knows where to find them. Now, all throughout the game, every time you go into the Bentley's room and try to explore stuff, if the Bentleys are there, Mrs. Bentley just throws stuff at you. She hits you with a hockey stick at one point, punches you in the head. Like, she does not let you feel around the room at all.
Yeah, very protective of stuff, it seems.
Yeah. And even when they're not there, after a couple of seconds of you wandering around in there, Mr. Bentley just shows up with a gun and starts shooting at you like, get the hell out of our room. So with the two of them both being in this boxing arena, beating the shit out of each other professionally this time, you once again finally get a chance to properly explore their room, where you find the real Mr. and Mrs. Bentley.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they murdered them before they boarded the ship and stole their boarding ticket. So these guys aren't really eccentrically rich. They're just a bunch of crooks stealing stuff and murdering people to get where they need.
So it was them the whole time. Or it could be them.
Now, let me see if I have... Nope, I do not have it. So let me just upload it really quick. We're now on to night 4, right? Night 4.
Yep, we're at the end.
Out of 5. So yeah, this This, I believe, is the final night of the bunch. So yeah, I'm just gonna delete a couple of these not important ones. We'll like the Edna murder, and so now I think you have a pretty rational grasp of who the murderer should be at this point, right?
I've narrowed it down to 3.
Name them, please.
The Bentleys, the crazy guy, who's not really crazy, and the robot.
Okay, I like those odds. Now, in the final night, Piposh still is once again sleeping in his bed, and he hears
Trying to sleep in his bed, anyways.
yeah, trying to sleep in his bed, and he hears some arguments from the opposite room, which of course happens to be the room of Loudmouth and the Leprechaun. And all he hears is Loudmouth yelling at Leprechaun, "Stay away from the door! Do not touch the door! Don't get anywhere near the door! Do not leave the door! Don't leave me here alone!" And after he hears a door being slammed, a couple of seconds later, this happens.
Okay, someone died. Either the person who left or the person who's in the room, but someone died.
Yeah, and definitely someone on the opposite side of the room. And of course, you may have noticed that Piposh is really angry at this point. And he
He's
kind of
always
says,
angry.
yeah, they keep waking him up in the middle of the night. So he decides to just stay put, don't go anywhere. They're just going to blame it on him anyway. So he's just staying there in his nice, safe bed where nothing bad could possibly happen, right?
Bullshit. When did he get his head back?
Who cares, right?
Okay.
Okay, I was wondering if you would notice that.
No, I
didn't.
thought I caught it, but I was like, I'm going to wait for him to play another clip before I say anything.
Yeah, because I and a lot of people did not pick up on that when we first played the game. So good for you. You get a gold star.
Yay.
Yeah, but anyways, after being completely thrown out of the room, Loudmouth keeps yelling, "I know who did it! I know who did it!"
I
So
would hope so.
yeah, finally we get someone who actually knows who the killer is, but people simply refuses to listen. All he cares about is getting that guy the hell out of his room. So what?
Priorities, man.
Yeah, priorities. He's going to get the fuck out of my room before he gets me into more trouble. People already suspect me for killing all those people. Just get the hell out of my room. Come on, get back where you came from. Let's pick you back up and throw you back into your own room. And he starts to literally kick his ass, trying to push him back, just like Winnie the Pooh in that one Winnie the Pooh story. And everyone else just walk in. Yeah, and find him doing that.
Naturally.
So, yeah, obviously then Piposh tries to distract them by pointing towards the elephant in the room as, oh, look, I have a head now. Yeah, so apparently he went back to the production team, started yelling at them, making a big, huge fuss about it. And it's like, I'm an actor. You can't leave me here without a face. And it was like, oh no, listen, we can't. It's not proper. This is we got all this bureaucracy we got to think of. So later that day, when he went back to have lunch at the nearby pastry just outside the film studio where they're filming the game, he told this to the main baker. So he basically just baked him a burekas shaped like his head.
Okay.
And he glued it to his neck with a piece of chewing gum.
Sure.
Do you even know what a burekas is?
Nope, but at this point, the guy having bread for his head does not surprise me.
Yeah, it's a pastry, very popular in the Middle East. It comes in a variety of shapes, like these triangular ones and these rectangular ones. And the what I like about these is that the filling kind of determines the shape. Like, so these triangular ones have cheese filling in them. These rectangular ones have mashed potatoes in them. There's some more round, swirly ones with pizza sauce in it. There's spinach at one point. There's another sort of triangular, but more round triangular, which has mushrooms in it. So yeah, burekas, and that's what was used.
It looks
What
good.
was That's what was used as Piposh's head for the final day of the game.
Sure.
Yeah, and after trying to diverge away the main plot away from him, the leprechaun shows up, and he doesn't really quite know how to tell it to him. But his uncle is now dead. So after carefully examining
I
the
think
thing,
50. I think he got the names backwards. I was referring to the leprechaun as the guy dressed with the green hat that looks like a leprechaun.
oh, I thought you meant the other guy was the leprechaun.
No, no.
Yeah, so Loudmouth was the guy in green, and I thought you meant Yeshurun as the leprechaun.
No, the other way around.
Yeah, so going back into their real names, so after the uncle has been murdered, Piposh doesn't really know how to tell it to him. So after Yeshurun carefully examines the back of his body, realizing that it's actually him, he's completely overjoyed and delighted at the fact that now his oppressive and annoying, obnoxious uncle has been murdered, and so he decides to completely do a personality change and redub himself as the Wild Orchid, taking his clothes off and running out of the room.
Okay, then.
Yep. So that's totally not gonna come up later, anyways. So again, priorities. The only thing Piposh cares about at this point is finding a good place to sleep. And after failing to find a good place to sleep amongst all the other guests, he decides that the only possible place he could sleep is up on the roof. And during that night, several weird things happen while he's trying to get some shut-eye. First of which, the firefighters' orchestra plays a song while he's trying to sleep in the middle of the night. No idea who invited them. The waters completely rock the boat, literally flinging his pillow off and knocking his head against the handrails over there. Whatever the hell this is also happens late that night. But by far the strangest thing that happens during that particular night is when a helicopter literally lands on him, with the pilot being a Napoleon lookalike.
Yeah.
And Brigitte shows up and hands him over the precious diamond that everyone else has been looking for. And he jumps back into his helicopter and leaves, promising to come back later tomorrow to pick up Brigitte as well. So they took the diamond, they gave the diamond to this Napoleon lookalike, and now the diamond is in France with this guy, and that is the end of the night.
So it was her all along?
Maybe.
Okay, then.
But yeah, let me just make sure that I've got the final morning. Just I've got a couple of them missing. Okay, let me just see. Let's see. Okay, so I've got all the clips for the last morning except the first one.
Okay, just give me a second. I'm gonna go grab a little bit of a snack again.
Okay, cool. Because apparently it's missing from my folder. Hold on. Let me just make sure I didn't delete it by accident. Where is it? Oh, hold on. Couldn't possibly have deleted it.
Now, why would you do that?
Good question. No, it's nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be found. I know for a fact that Oh, I know what happened. Yeah, I accidentally put it in the wrong folder. Hold on, let me just. At least the lost has been found. The lost has been found. Okay, so now we can move on to the final morning of the game, where, and again, reminder: people spend the entire night sleeping on the rooftop. Okay?
Okay.
So once again, he's woken up by the two captains arguing with each other, literally standing on top of him and arguing about about the way Krupnik decided to run the ship, which Captain Nachts points
Does
out.
no one who's there? Like, how could you not? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they just didn't look. Maybe they just didn't notice. So by now, Piposh once again responds in his usual way of responding to being woken up in the middle of the morning trying to sleep.
Yes, the Cabbage Patch.
Yeah, and then Captain Doobie starts to yell at him that he wants him to wrap up this mystery by the end of the day. He gives him until 6, to which Piposh responds by saying that, dude, check my contract. I specifically signed on to investigate the mystery, but by no means solving it. Like, I didn't sign on for this. So then Dubinach responds by saying that not only did he sign on to solve the mystery, but he also signed on to sew him a pair of socks. It's a line written in ancient Swedish, so it will be easier for him to read.
Sure.
And that's how they get you in these contracts. But then obviously after being like, okay, fine, I'll do this for you, he basically kicks them both off of his body to hopefully try to get some more sleep again. But then right before he manages to even start to get some sleep, this thing happens. Are you watching?
Mm-hmm. The hell?
Yeah,
Did he
so
fall out of the crow's nest?
what?
Did he fall out of the crow's nest?
Pretty much. Let's watch this again.
My God.
Yeah, so apparently what?
No wonder he's always pissed off.
Of course. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, he was already off the edge before he got on this ship.
Right?
Yeah, so apparently now Tiny comes back saying that he's been in a heated discussion over the production team, saying that they limited them to 6 o'clock as opposed to the usual 7, which is how all the other days have ended up until this point. He says that the atmosphere was so tense you could literally cut the knife with the air.
Cut the air with a knife, but okay.
Oh, cut the knife with the air, yeah. So again, Piposh responds in the only way he knows.
בר כוכבא לא מת! בר כוכבא חי ויחיה לעד! יחי בר כוכבא! יחי! 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 יחי!
Get the fuck away from me now before I kill you.
No, he basically said, Bar Kokhba isn't dead! Bar Kokhba is alive and will live forever! Long live Bar Kokhba! Long live he! Long live he! Long live he!
What the hell does that mean?
You remember Bar Kokhba, right? From the Lag Bomer episode we did?
Yep.
That's basically what he said. He's like, Bar Kokhba isn't dead, he's still alive!
Okay then.
And that is how he chooses to respond to the situation.
Like
now, after once again yelling at Tiny to get the fuck out of his face, Tiny responds by saying he can't go anywhere because apparently he broke both of his legs when he fell on Piposh, and apparently there's another line in his contract written in ancient Flemish, in modern Flemish, that says that now he has to carry him on his shoulders for the remainder of the game because he broke his legs, which of course Piposh does.
I randomly in Flemish.
It's written in modern Flemish. So now let me see, because I kind of have a couple of different names for these next few clips. Okay, so anyways, so you go back into the captain's room where you find the argument between Captain Krupnik and Captain Nachts reaching a boiling point where Captain Nachts refuses to spend a single day, a single second, as a matter of fact, with Krupnik's prized dolphin that he has hanging in his office, and decides to replace it with his teddy bear.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry. So he refuses to spend a single moment with Captain Krupnik's famed prized dolphin Marhaba, and so Captain Nax decides to replace it with his teddy bear Shukran, and they continue to argue over the placement of Marhaba and Shukran, even as Piposh and Tiny show up in their office. At this point, the argument between the two is gotten so bad that Dubinach even literally throws Marhaba out the window.
As one
Which
does.
what?
As one does.
Yeah, as one does when trying to settle an argument, right? Which, of course, as you can probably imagine at this point, really angers Captain Krupnik, which kind of sends him over the edge. And at this point, I believe the other pirate, the last remaining pirate, the one that's basically been a no-show throughout the entire of the game, Weitskop, shows up to try and settle the argument. But by this point, Krupnik and the argument between Krupnik and Dubinachs has gone past the boiling point. So then Krupnik responds by showing up and first of all saying goodbye to Marhaba and then walking away to Shukran and kicking him out as well. Which is, of course, that's when Weitskop appears, tries to settle the differences between the two of them, but Piposh has gone. Krupnik has been pushed far beyond the edge, so he just decides to jump right into Dubinach's face, kick him out of the window as well, and then literally pick up Weitskop and throw him out the window, and he continues to lose it. He throws some stuff from his pocket randomly, pulls out a massive pulls out a massive hunter's gun and shoots himself in the head.
Okay, then.
Yeah. And it's at that point that this whole thing has divulged into a massive shootout between Piposh and Tiny and the remaining two pirates. Tiny pulls out a gun out of his pocket, and Piposh picks up the gun that Krupnik just used to shoot himself, and the two of them go out and start shooting the pirates. The first pirate that they both deal with is, of course, Weitskop. They take him on together, and the only weapon of choice that Weitskop has are these attack planes made of paper. So yeah, they chase him all the way to the end of the roof, and he accidentally hits himself with one of them and falls off the ship. Then Piposh solo goes to the other side of the roof to take on Captain Dubinachs. As he arrives on the other side, he shoots him off once and then dodges a bullet and shoots him off again. And so at this point, the pirates are now gone. Edna is dead downstairs in the mechanic room, in the machine room, I should say, the engine room. Weitskop is nowhere to be seen, and Captain Nax has been shot off the ship. And well, that's basically it for the captains. Let me just again, just to make
really
what.
They're going to say that's it for the game. I was like, that's how.
No. That's not it for the game. We still have a whole day ahead of us. Of course, the Piposh and Tiny continue to explore the rest of the ship, moving from one place to the other. They find the Bentleys trying to play a nice game, which of course Piposh interrupts while Mrs. Bentley is trying to take a shot, and she responds by putting some holes in his Burekas-shaped head.
Okay, then.
Yeah. Mr. Bentley, on the other hand, is quite delighted to see, as he puts it, the loser riding the Burekas head.
All right.
They then go down all the way to the cellar. They reach Brigitte's room, and they find her packing a suitcase as though she's preparing to leave. Of course, they arrive at her room, not knowing where she's planning to go right now. which is, of course, that's when she pulls out a gun on them. And she reveals that that this whole time she was actually a secret agent in a top secret French espionage organization whose whole goal was to find the diamond and get it to their leader by any means necessary. She then uses the gun to march both Piposh and Tiny to the jacuzzi room where her leader is about to emerge in a submarine that comes out of the jacuzzi, which of course is the French Napoleon wannabe, Francois. He then shows up and starts being all, oh, oui, yes, I French, I very evil French, I have the diamond, I have le diamond, and wouldn't you know it, Piposh actually recognizes him. And not only that, he identifies him as being Benzi, his old pal from acting school, pretending to be French for some reason. Okay. So then he goes and the two actor friends reconnect. People ask him to play a plum like he did back in the old days, which of course Francois does. But then of course that is a distraction, giving Tiny enough time to kick the gun out of Bridget's hands as they both start to brawl. People fighting with Francois and Tiny literally picking up Brigitte and throwing her onto Francois's head, making them both lose the fight. People then sends Banksy back to his submarine to go back to France as he's cursing and swearing him all the way through, saying that he can't play a Frenchman, he can barely even play a plum, and he casually walks out of the jacuzzi, being the victor. Brigitte is of course very upset that they ruined both her gun and her chances of getting off this stupid ship. So she gets out of the jacuzzi and runs back to her room to squeeze all the water out of her dress. And that is basically how she's going to spend the rest of her day. Just, sulking in her room. Next meeting you have is the room of the former room that used to belong to Uncle Loudmouth and Yeshurun. And as they go in and try and check up on the poor kid, see how he's handling his uncle's death, they find this.
Ay, caramba, a hippie.
Yeah, so that's basically what happens when you take the reins off and let the kid do what he wants to do and be who he wants to be. So apparently now he's no longer Yeshurun. He's not listening to the leprechaun. He's not a loudmouth. He is now the wild orchid, man. Yeah, he's a procurer of sex, drugs, and alcohol. Let's listen to some crazy loud music and bang our heads against the wall, baby.
Yeshurun?
Okay.
Get it? We're banging our heads against the wall, man. Yeah, very much not liking the idea of Uncle Grandpa telling old Yeshurun, whoever he is, what to do. So he then goes on to tell Piposh and Tsutsuke of the story that happened last night of how even the cleaning lady joined the cult that now belongs to the wild orchid. And then she obviously kisses him, maybe even more. And in return, all he does is give her the diamond she's so rightfully right once, baby. Yeah, so now you know how she got the diamond to give to Francois, am I right? Yeah. Good old, yeah, she took away the diamond away from Uncle Grandpa back last night. And gave it to the cleaning lady, so she gave it to the French guy. And this is how we all go full circle. We all know where the diamond is, am I right?
You're right.
Yeah. Fortunately, Piposh being completely ungroovy doesn't like the approach that the wild orchid now has, so he just decided to do this.
Yeah, boomsicle. Yeah. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah.
שכן.
So he beats the shit out of him and laughs about it.
No, he did all the laughing while he was getting beat up. He was laughing while he was being punched senseless.
Okay then.
Yeah, and then obviously Tiny gets back onto his shoulders because, as we've already discussed, he can't walk anywhere, right? He can't use his legs. Sure. And yeah, obviously then people basically demands that this whole sequence be completely deleted from the game because he's got oh shit, the final clip is unplayable because it's too big.
Oh.
But okay, never mind. We have an alternative. Let's just go to the share screen option and we can watch it there. So this being the final day, obviously, as you probably know, is of course where the game is meant to be solved. You got to figure out who the murderer is, and it's Piposh's job to tell everyone the end result of the mystery that they've all been experiencing. Let's pull up the share screen. Put it. Oh wait, you can't see it if it's full screen, right?
I can see it just fine.
Okay, cool. So in the final moments of the game, basically everyone gather in the parlor one last time, and you can kind of tell that they've all pretty much gone a massive change all throughout the course of the game, right?
Yep, I definitely see that.
Most of them look really differently. Okay, so then Piposh walks in with with all his notes and tries to make sense of everything that happened. And the only way he can is by explaining everything that happened in the game up until that point, from the first meeting in the parlor to where the diamond got stolen for the first time. Then they went to Henry Steam's engine room, where someone decided to make him a permanent resident of the wheel. Then they all go back into day 2, where the psychiatrist is being very, very shady. Everyone keeps panicking from having to run from one room to the other, and then Piposh goes into full method mode, being the psychiatrist, and keeps bringing props and impersonations of all the other characters. He even impersonates Effie, the lunatic, getting out his key and breaking out of his cell to walk away all the way to the safe. He breaks open the safe, takes the diamond away, and everyone suspects Henry Steam of being the killer. Then they all go back and see that the psychiatrist was murdered in day 2, and no one still knows who did it. And then of course they mention the fact that the lunatic is still being around, and that's where they realize that the lunatic has escaped. And then day 3 opens with Postema waking him up, and then they all start a massive chase following the lunatic, or rather Effie, all the way up to the roof. And then they go onto the parlor again that later that night, where they talk about the story that the Bentleys told about stealing the flip-flops from the Muslims. And then Bridget decides to leave the room when Postema tries to stop her. And then, of course, Captain Dubinax walks in, and during all the commotion, Bridget managed to somehow slip away unnoticed and steal the diamond away from Postema, who then gets murdered violently. And then we go transition into day 4, where the robot breaks open the door. They continue on chasing Bridget all the way up to the roof, where they brawl again. And then they take a break to eat something, have some phone call, drink some stuff. Obviously, the Wild Orchid smokes. And then, of course, we jump into the half-murder of Edna, and the explanation by Captain Dubinax. And they go back to the parlor again for the tap dancing performance by Loudmouth and Ishurun. And then, of course, that's when the safe is broken in again, and they go back and find that the diamond has been stolen once more. And, of course, once again, after what Mrs. Bentley says, that everyone suspects Loudmouth, which that again has been thrown out of his room into Piposh's room, being the final murder victim. And then that brings us into the final story arc, with the helicopter and Brigitte and Francois, and then Piposh decides to leave without picking choosing who the murderer is, thinking that was the end of it. And then he gets arrested for suspicion of murder, and then the director is very happy and delighted that Piposh is now getting arrested. But then, he just goes, you know what? Fine, I'll pick someone. And I think I just left it. Oh, there we go. There you go. So, yeah. Then Piposh just goes, all right, fine. I'll pick someone at random. And any volunteers? So, out of these people, who do you think did it?
One more time.
Hold on. We got Brigitte, the Bentleys, Krupnik, Tiny, Yeshurun, or the Lunatic, or Piposh, because that's also an option.
I'm gonna go with Brigitte. She's the most likely. Yes, she's the most likely based on what has been revealed about her so far.
Okay. Do you want me to? Do you want to pick someone else, or do you want me to tell you if you were right or wrong?
I'm gonna go with Effie just for fun as my second guess. Let's go. Tell me who it is.
Tiny.
Oh, okay then.
It was Tiny all along. But before we go into why, there is a bit of an interesting if you pick any of the other ones, there is a bit of an interesting montage of them just going away, being dragged away by the cops, being properly arrested, then standing trial for murder, and then going to the prison with, of course, Piposh being interviewed as to how he solved the mystery, and then you get this big title card of "and the murderer is still at large." I just put all of them together to create this nice, fun little montage. But yeah, it was Tiny. It was Tiny the whole time. Can you guess why?
No, I can't. It's like this whole story is so all over the place that I cannot guess.
Okay, so let me take you back a couple of days. Do you remember the story being told by Effie?
Yeah, about how he's really the last descendant of whoever.
Mamluk dynasty.
Yes, Mamelukes. Yes.
Yeah, and the diamond has been lost for centuries until it was found again recently. By whom?
Oh shit!
You're gonna rewatch this episode to figure out where all the clues lie. I can tell.
Yeah. I don't remember. Fucking. We're 2.5 hours into this. I can't remember.
Let me see if I can find the clip again. Where it says, okay, I found it. It's uploading now. So yeah, Effie is a long descendant of a ancient Mamluk dynasty that lasts for 2,000 years. Even though, once again, the Mamluks only showed up around the 9th century AD and disappeared around the 19th. So yeah, they existed for about 1,000 years. That's a pretty good legacy. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so Effie then goes on to explain about his great grandfather being the first owner of the diamond, which went lost until recently resurfaced by some construction workers working in the sewers and taken away by archaeologists who never realized its full value. And of course, apparently you and Piposh were on the same wavelength during this conversation, as you can see here.
50, you've given me 2.5 hours worth of information to try to remember.
So?
Oh my god. So was Tiny the construction worker?
Yeah. I mean, there are hints to him being a construction worker all the time. Like literally at every turn. He even going to the closet that he has with all the
pylons.
What?
The pylons.
Yeah, the
cone.
The traffic cone.
The pylons.
The what?
They're called pylons.
Oh, really? I thought pylons are the ones with the tall metal ones with electrical cables running through them.
No, that's a telephone pole. No.
Okay.
Pylon's another name for a safety cone.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, he clearly has a safety cone in his cupboard and this list of clothes that keeps shrinking day by day as you go and visit his room and reopen the cupboard he very specifically did not want you to see. Can you tell me the significance of those pairs of clothes that keep getting smaller and smaller? I mean, why was
like? I mean, the only reason, logic, there's several reasons. Either he's freaking obsessive compulsive and likes to change his clothes every day, it just doesn't like to deviate from style, or either he was doing some dirty work in him.
Yeah, very dirty work, murder.
Yeah.
He kept murdering people, and his clothes kept getting soaked with blood. So every time that he went and committed his murders, he went in wearing his regular clothes, and then walking into his intended victim's room, murdering them, searching the diamond, not finding it, and going outside, taking off his clothes, throwing them into the water, and then coming back into the room wearing that sleeveless and shorts that Piposh just demonstrated, and pretending to be just as shocked and surprised as the rest of them to what just happened.
Very nice.
And somehow Piposhka managed to figure all that out just by reading the script, as any good actor probably should. And of course, so now we have the motive, the diamond, obviously, the method. First of all, Piposh even opens the conversation by saying just the sheer fact that he was that devoted of a fan, that threw him off immediately, because, yeah, Hezi Piposh doesn't have fans. He's hated. Everyone hates him. So the fact that this guy comes up straight out of nowhere saying that, I'm your biggest fan, I worship at the altar and worship the very ground that he walks on, that was suspicious right from the start. And you know what? You even picked up on that right away. Yeah, and of course, at this point, Tiny decides to literally fight for his life, coming up with counter arguments, saying first his motives, but also bringing attention to the fact that Piposh has literally no conclusive evidence against him, nothing concrete. Everything he just said is entirely circumstantial, and he's entirely unable to prove it, since he doesn't really have the murder weapon or any way of him actually getting into all these rooms, while bringing attention to the fact that Piposh himself has the key to every single room. He has been found seeing the first on the scene in every murder, and we even see him punching and kicking them, stealing some objects from them. So he could just as well be the murderer trying to deflect away from him. So which one of the two actually did it?
I'm going to stick with, you know what? This game is so all over the fucking place. I'm going to go.
I know. That's why I love it so much.
I'm going to go with Piposh.
Are you sure it's not Tiny?
Well, I mean, logic does dictate it would be Tiny, but then again, logic does not exist in this game.
True. And let me just tell you straight up, it was Tiny.
Okay.
But since, again, Piposh has no way of proving it, they decide to wrap this up the only way they properly know how.
Dance off?
A midnight duel on the top deck.
Of course.
Which, of course, brings us to the final act of the game, having to draw your gun before Tiny has time to do his. Now, this being the final act of the game, who do you think draws their gun first?
Well, hopefully it'd be Piposh if you're controlling him. Wait, it looked like Tiny did.
Do you want to see it again?
Yes, please. They came from off. Did that come from off screen? It did come from off screen.
Who could it have possibly have been?
Jesus. Oh, crap, the accountant looking dude.
Captain Krupnik.
Oh.
Captain Krupnik wasn't really a ship captain the whole time. He was a private detective. and he was hired specifically to make sure that the diamond reaches safely to the other side of the world, namely the safe in the museum. Because, as we all know at this point,
Stay on top.
sorry,
That belongs in a museum.
Yep.
yeah, that's really basically the main reason why they took it away from Tiny, because Tiny found it. But you know what? If you find it, you still don't own it. It belongs in a museum. So that's what they were planning to do with the diamond. And it was Detective Kapitalomio Krupnik, his job to ensure that the diamond safely reaches its destination, the safe in the museum. But you know what? He did not do that. He deposited the real diamond in his safe, in his bank account in Switzerland before the ship even took off, and put a fake diamond in the safe, knowing full well that some idiot will try and steal it.
Wow.
Yeah. Of course he didn't really prepare himself for the fact that there would be so many fucking idiots on this ship. But you know what? Who cares? The diamond is in his possession. Tiny is now framed for murder, which he actually committed. And whoever stole the fake diamond, that's his problem right now.
Yep.
And of course, that's when Krupnik decides to finally blow this popsicle stand, being picked up by his wife's helicopter, or other biplane. And of course, he leaves all the parties involved one final surprise in the form of a bomb set to go off in a few seconds and take the entire ship with it to the bottom of the sea.
And that's how it ends.
Yep, and that's how it ends.
And
That's how he wrote. What?
Everyone died.
Not necessarily, just the ship blew up. Of course, there is then a sequel called Piposh 2, where we discover that Piposh not only survived, but also somehow made his way into a nearby island and, grew a beard and got a bit disheveled and, lost his mind even more so. But that, is a story for another time. There are also several other sequels like Piposh Part 2, A Dream Come True, Piposh 3D, and of course, the aforementioned 2019 continuation, which also features other new and exciting characters. But you know what? In my opinion, this is by far the best game of the bunch. Obviously, in later iterations of the game, you also find out that Yeshurun survived. He's also living on that island. Brigitte also survived. Somehow still kept on the ship. Captain Dubinach also shows up in the sequel. But you know what? That's the sequel. So
yeah,
we're only talking about this game. It only took us 2 hours and 40 minutes to do so. So, final thoughts. What do you think of this game, Mr. Soda?
My head hurts.
Try playing the game.
Like, it's right up my alley, but my God, is this batshit crazy. You Israelis, your humor is weird.
I know.
Oh, I mean, it sounds like a fun time if you're playing it. I'm not going to lie.
Yep. And we haven't even talked about all the mini games that are involved. Like, there's literally an arcade game where there's a Pac-Man-like game. There's roulette. There's slot machines in the casino room. You can at certain points you can find game discs, and you can play them on Tiny's laptop. You can literally buy books in the game and read them at your pleasure. There's the collecting aspect of it. There's literally using a cannon to shoot other nearby ships. You also have this sort of battleship style strategy game in the jacuzzi. What else? There's the sort of hockey game that we saw earlier. There's all kinds of cool stuff, including a boxing arena. Watch this. So yeah, there's literally a boxing ring and or wrestling ring, I should say. You can't do actual wrestling type moves in this boxing ring. There's so much to do in this game. It's batshit crazy. There's even a game that's basically a whack-a-mole with frogs instead of moles, But here's the twist. You're not supposed to hit the frogs on the head. You're supposed to hit the human people in the game.
Okay, then.
Yeah, you actually lose if you hit the frogs.
All right.
Yeah. That's how crazy and batshit insanity this game is, and I love it to pieces.
Okay, then. I can easily tell you love it to pieces because you literally went through the entire game off the top of your freaking head.
Well, I mean, I did. When making these clips, there were also the Let's Plays on YouTube that I also re-experienced the game twice over while making all these clips, so that I know exactly what to say, when to say. And even then, I still got things wrong, but you know what? It's not my fault. It's StreamYard. So, what is your topic for next week?
Well, I was gonna do one thing, but we had a moment in the show that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna switch it up. It is because of that discussion about the Stone Cold Stunner. I'm gonna get a little bit of revenge on you for 2.5 hours. No, I don't think I could go that. I don't think it could go that long, but it could come close. I'm gonna go through the Monday Night War. So this was a pivotal point in professional wrestling history. This was a period of 83 weeks where two rival companies were going at each other at the same time every Monday night for basically who was the better company. And this was basically the height of popularity for professional wrestling. This was probably as biggest as it ever had been. This is where The Rock was wrestling. This is where Stone Cold Steve Austin was at his height. This is where the NWO happened. This is where Hulk Hogan had his highly successful heel turn. This is a story of how to run a company and what not to do when running a company. It's a very fascinating time. You had wrestlers jumping between companies. It's a very interesting time to say the least.
Not as interesting as this game, but definitely interesting.
Yes.
Okay, so do you even remember how to do your own plugs?
At this point, the usual sort of the underscore Saxman. Find me here doing stuff with 50 and over on So Diggin' Wrestling.
And you can find me talking about as long as I just did now about Piposh, talking about Doctor Who every Monday on the Greatest Show in the Galaxy on this show, on this channel, as well as every Thursday doing this show. And I also talk even more Doctor Who on my own YouTube channel, 50 Shades of Geek. I do weekly reviews of every single Doctor Who episode from 1963 all the way to 2022, as well as some other random stuff whenever I have time to do it. And you can also check out all of these wonderful channels from the wider Benverse at large, like Something to Talk About, the aforementioned So Diggin' Wrestling, Galaxy Geeks, Multiverse of Geekdom, Movie Lovers Unite, The Midnight Cinema, 8-Town Reviews, and of course, in the front row, who is not pictured on this thumbnail, but she is also really awesome and a great conversationalist in our Benverse group chats, so you should really go ahead and give her a follow. Now, you need to go eat something, and I need to go to freaking sleep after almost 3 hours. And of course, quick reminder, we did this for this guy, our dear departed, lovable friend, Ben. And all we ask of you, the viewers, is don't kill anyone, don't steal diamonds, and most importantly, let your geek flag fly. That's all we're really asking. So, good night, everyone, and KIBINIMAT!
למה הדבר דומה? לצפרדע שיושבת בצלוחית דבש. היא אומרת, זה כל כך טעים, למה שאזוז לי?